Good evening. It's episode 192 of the longest running episodic, whatever this is. And I'm going to do a quick around the horn introduction. But before there's any other discussion, let's discuss a man who crashes stationary bikes, a man who cheers for fictional hockey teams, a man who pretends that Reggie Lemon only has one or two syllables. It is Sanderson or Bougie Eric himself, possibly epicenter of the future NBA champions, up 3-0. Eric, Good evening. How are you? And Eric.
And Eric.
I'm miserable. I'm hurt again. I'm on crutches again. I can't ride my bike again. No, I'm miserable. Thanks a lot for asking.
Of course. I simply have to. As a good host, Yannick, you know this. As a good host, I simply must make sure that we take care to say. So, Yannick, how are you?
I'm good. I think I'm actually going to have to do a trip down there and take all of his wheels off the bikes. So at least he'll keep both of his legs working for a while. Obviously, he hasn't hit his freaking head enough that he started.
Enough is the key word, yes.
He's not helmet, 6 anymore. There you go. See? Like
it's literally the walking wounded.
If I was mom or your wife, I would have just locked the door, leave you outside.
Wrap him in bubble wrap.
They're not excited about this.
I'm sure they're very impressed.
I finally was back to being myself, more or less, which must suck for everybody anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty much trash. Yeah,
pretty much trash. And after them taking care of me since December 1st. I'm finally up and about, and now I need them to wait on me again. So, oh, it just sucks.
Awful, just awful.
It's and of course having people wait on you, isn't it?
And it also must suck. And Eric, it must suck to suck.
It does suck to suck because when I was younger, I was more goodera.
Wow. And of course, last and certainly not least, from the garage of knowledge, the bro, Bobby. How are you tonight?
Very good, sir.
Yeah, I thought I would actually do a little round the horn introduction just for a change of pace because, gentlemen,
and Eric, used to it.
Gentlemen and Eric, two things. So a little bit of housekeeping first.
Okay.
A week tomorrow on the Four Collectors YouTube channel, link will be in the description later, there will be a live stream on that channel that some folks on the screen will be participating in for the Hobby Paloozas. Truth.
Please
facts.
Please don't let it be me. Please don't let it be me.
Especially Eric. Doubly Eric. It may just be Eric. I may just leave him there by himself and just leave him there and to make just occasionally mute him. And that may be my contribution. Yannick, that might be my contribution to the live stream. I might even not even appear on screen. I might just put Eric in the middle and just mute him occasionally.
Yeah.
That right there would be quality programming. And remember, it's for charity.
Yes.
So give generously. Also, I want to, off the top, thank AMG Collectibles, amgcollectibles.ca, and the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. That is where you can find the podcast episodes where we talk about what's going on in the shop. Had some fun stuff this past week, and there are some lovely memorabilia items that will be on the next episode. I can say that in advance right now. And Yannick, you may appreciate this. It may have something to do with the expos. Allegedly. Yes, that's my understanding.
Wow.
Yes, my understanding. Just throwing it out there. Just thought I would mention that to you since I figured it would appeal to your sensibilities. Just thought I would throw that in. I want to also thank AMG Collectibles for supporting the channel and the live stream. Now, I actually, believe it or not, the reason why I mentioned the semi-structure thing is because it made me laugh. I decided I would sit down and just jot down anything that came to mind that I felt like I would talk about. So I filled up a page. As it turns out, there's a lot of stuff that is in there, but before I get to anything else, there is something there I would be remiss if I didn't mention because it only happened in the last day or two. It's not a news item per se, but it is something that I do enjoy mentioning. Season 2 of the Goldin Touch has dropped on Netflix this week.
Yeah,
Yes. And someone, allegedly me, may have been watched this shit last night. And let me tell you, it's review time. We're doing review time on the Goldin Touch. Season 2.
No, I haven't seen it. But an acquaintance, a clubhouse acquaintance, I found out is on the show. So please be as kind as possible if you are discussing Danielle from Nerdy Girl Comics.
Oh, I'm glad you brought this up because I wasn't going to reference her by name, but she fits into one. Look, I actually have bullet points. I'm actually being completely serious. I actually have bullet points.
Okay, just listen. You speak your truth. You speak your truth. I'm asking you to be as kind as possible to somebody that I know and has always been good to me, including sending my daughter things.
There you go. Global. Good day, hobby friends, and Eric. Thank you. Appreciate you. Good evening, Jeff. Good evening, Paul. And good evening, Ham. All right. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. If there are any questions or comments or thoughts, feel free to throw them in the comments and we'll chat about them briefly. All right. Here's the short version. I am tremendously disappointed. 6 out of 10. And I'm going to tell you why. The first season, I was willing to forgive because it was the first run through. They didn't know they were going to get a second season. They had to play conservative. There was a lot of that element to it. There was always going to be some potential stuff left on the table that could have been done. But it's a first season. You play it safe. You just go with it. Season 2, there is no such excuse. One thing we got to remember is that when it comes to these shows, if you think of Pawn Stars, if you think of any, American Pickers, you think of anything like this, and you think of Netflix in particular, effectively, this is a reality show. It's a reality show. And the key is, what do you need for a reality show? You need some kind of a storyline, some kind of a throughput thread, and you need characters. These are the 2 things you need. If you have some common, preferably both these things, but if you got one or both of these things, that's a good show. This was just a show. And Ken Gold didn't light himself on fire. Spoiler. He didn't light himself on fire, so that automatically, that's going to knock it down one.
I'm out.
It's already hurting the score.
Yep.
So you have to really impress me to really do well after that. I'll say this. If you like pop culture stuff, if you like memorabilia stuff, if you like specific items, then yeah, check out the episode that has the specific items. If you like celebrity or athlete cameos, there are a number of them. So I'll give a couple of bullet points. Like I said, I took a couple of notes here. I just said pretty basic, no real storylines. There were like a handful of like thing that went from one episode to another, like a mini cliffhanger. But again, if you're binging it, you go from one episode to the other and you get the resolution immediately. There's like in the first season, it was like Ken's daughter doing, kind of potentially apprenticing to work at Goldin. She was in the season a couple of times, but she wasn't really doing anything. She participated in a few things. To be clear, there were good items there. There were interesting items. Like the items themselves were interesting. They really focused on pop culture. They had Pablo Escobar book. Like they had a bunch of weird and kind of random things. They had like a mummified Cleopatra hand.
Dr. Dre Death Row necklace.
Yeah, Death Row necklace. They had Eminem's first album, first LP before he was the Eminem that really took off. The failed LP that actually was prior to him actually having the successful one.
Was this hardcore porn?
That's before he was Eminem. He was Skittles.
Sure. But the point is that, so it's an autographed item, and they actually had him signing it as part of it. So great. Wonderful. So the point is, the items themselves were probably the most interesting part of the show. The point was, there weren't really any skits. There were like no wacky storylines. It was like, look, the most interesting things were the items. Barry Bonds was basically chatting with Ken for an episode there for a couple of minutes. That was something. He was hanging out with Reggie Jackson for a little bit. That was cool. Like individual little moments. What's that?
Did he throw the ball?
He should have. He should have taken. He probably didn't. Kenny didn't pay for it. He didn't pay the extra. He should have paid the extra, and then he would have played catch with him. Yeah,
gotta pay to play catch.
So the point is, the items were, like I said, the items were at least interesting. That's fine. Some of the celeb cameos. Eli Manning made a quick appearance there in one of them. The closest thing that they came to having almost a storyline, and it was like in one episode briefly. They went to Comic-Con. And as part of Comic-Con, and you could say the storyline of the season was falling short of expectations or barely scraping by. It was them chasing after all these consignments. He tried to chase after not one, but 2 Honus Wagner cards, didn't get either one of them. He had to go to Comic-Con as part of a consignment deal with one of his big whales. If you're sad that I'm spoiling this for you, it sucks to suck. So anyway, moving on. So the point is, he had his big whale. And he was going to consign, and he consigned 2 big comic books for him. He consigned an Amazing Fantasy 15, the Spider-Man, debut, and he also consigned with him the Batman, Detective Comics, whatever issue was the first appearance of Batman. Again, 2 monster comics, gigantic. But what he wanted, he said, "Okay, I'll consign these with you. I'm going to use this as funding towards what I want." And he what do you want? Action Comics. He wanted the Superman one. So he basically took these two gigantic comics and he wanted the big one. So the closest thing he had to storyline was, all right, now Ken Goldin must find Action Comics. And that's where Eric's friend comes into play. So they go to Comic-Con, and she's one of the few people that has an Action Comics. And he offers her $2 million, and she says no. And that concludes the mini storyline of the Action Comics. He does eventually get an Action Comics. He gets a different copy, but he just basically offers the guy a bunch of money, like a credit and this. It's not really exciting, is my point I'm trying to get at. It's like, it's basically just, I need to offer this guy enough so that he'll give me this comic book so I can give it to this rich guy.
This kind of parallels the other show, Hardcore Pawn. It's almost the same. They're all trying to get this, and these interesting people show up. They never do the deal. Whatever.
But I'm just saying, like, any moment that could have actually filled any drama or anything, like, they never got there. And to be clear, Ken Goldin himself is not much of a character. He's not interesting enough to carry a show. But there's other people that work for him that might have personality and character that might have. Look, they got Alex Gaimo. She's their literally host. She was barely in the show. Like, she was around. Like, she was literally around. And like 3/4 of the show, she was just like in the background or just hanging out, or she'd say like 3 words. And it'd be like, what's the point of actually having somebody that you put on social media to promote stuff? And literally, you didn't have her doing voiceovers. You didn't have her really doing. She was literally just there. And then they had the other guys there, and they were just there. And so I'll tell you, I want to make sure I want to make sure I actually say this. This was the single most. There was one particular celeb cameo that legitimately surprised me. I mentioned Barry Bonds. I mentioned Reggie Jackson. I mentioned all those ones. Whatever, that's fine. I'll tell you one that I've seen before, but this particular episode, it shocked me. I was dismayed. I almost froze just watching it. Steve Aoki. Do you want to now, Eric? Do you want to know why the Steve Aoki appearance shocked me to my very core? Do you know why, Eric?
Yeah.
Eric, what is rule number 1?
People are stupid.
And Steve Aoki is a person, and he's not very smart. But let me tell you something, Eric. Steve Aoki might have learned something.
Yeah.
On this show, I saw Steve Aoki, Bobby. I saw Steve Aoki did something that I dare say demonstrated some kind of growth. He may have learned a lesson. I was shocked. I almost had a heart attack. So let me give you the background. Let me explain.
Don't hang out with Tim, because I learned that.
You did not learn that. You will hang out with Tim again. You've learned that
hard way.
So because they have hung out. So
I have no doubt. But here's the thing. All right, let me explain. So one of the Goldin boys, I forget the name of them. They're all the same to me. I don't care. So the point is, one of the Goldin guys shows up, and they have been consigned a 50 card set of the Marvel PMGs. There were a bunch of the different PMGs, but specifically, if you remember a couple of years back in the boom, some of the PMGs really took off and went crazy price-wise.
PMGs.
Well, specifically, the green PMGs. So the green PMGs are all out of 10. Somebody had compiled a complete set of the 50 PMGs, all numbered to 10, and they were all PSA graded. So it's a complete set. So this person wanted to consign the whole collection. And the problem was they came to Goldin with it, and they said, okay, so what do you want to get out of it? Because it's a question you got to ask. Like, would you like to get out of this? And the guy is like, well, I'd like to get as close to $1 million as possible. And the guy kind of just looks at him and goes, a couple of years ago, that would have been, a couple of years ago, probably, no problem. Now it's like, the market has turned on this one a lot. It's not like it was. It's gone down. So fast forward here later on I don't know if it was the same episode or the next episode, but it was close by. The point is, fast forward. He takes it to Steve Aoki, because Steve Aoki is one of the guys who collected a lot of those PMGs and set a lot of those records back during that boom period. He was paying top dollar for a lot of these PMGs, building his set of reds. Well, the green is obviously the rarer copies. But here's the thing. So he brings it to Steve Aoki with the intention of trying to see if he could pitch him on a private deal, trying to get it. And Bobby, Steve Aoki was looking at them. He was fawning over them. He was very interested in the whole thing. And he goes, yeah, but I was the guy who set a lot. I'm paraphrasing. But he's like, yeah, but I set a lot of the record prices that we're talking about on these. I set them. And he goes, yeah, and these have gone down a lot. So it's like, I don't really see, I don't think I need to pay that much for them. It's like, I understand what you're asking. I'm paraphrasing, but he goes, I understand what you're asking, but like, it doesn't make any sense for me to pay that. I think he was trying to get
million. The seller.
Yeah, he was trying. He got him down to 600,000. He was trying to get. He basically was trying to get
No,
Steve
no,
Aoki to buy this.
Yeah. He tried it at 600, and Steve Aoki said, "I'll take
Turned
it
him down.
for 2."
He basically Aoki's like, yeah, no, you're gonna have to go much lower because they've gone down. He basically started citing. They said, yeah, these have gone down a lot. I know because I paid the high price for the other ones. They've all gone down, but so have these. These have all gone down. And then in the end, he goes, the best he could do, the closest thing he was able to come up with is like, well, we're gonna sell them in the auction. So if you want, I can put some bids in for you. It's like, yeah, put some bids in for me, and I'll try to win them. So he wasn't able to sell him the cards, and I'm like, Eric, the boy learned. He learned. he learned because probably in auction he's going to be able to get it a lot cheaper than whatever, because the market has gone down on those. So in auction he's probably going to be able to get, honestly, a lot cheaper than the price the guy was hoping to get for the set. He'll be able to either pick off the pieces he wants or the whole set, probably for way less, even buying it piecemeal.
Eric's going to show his green PMG.
I know.
I have lots of them. If you're interested, I got
$1 million. Will you take?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes, I will take 1 million for my.
Alas, Steve Aoki will not give you $1 million for those either. It's such a shame. But anyway, the point that I'm making though was that I was very surprised to actually see Steve Aoki learn something. Because 2 years ago he would have totally cut a check. It would have been a done deal. Like he would 100% have cut a check and it would have been done. And for whatever reason now, I guess somebody bonked him in the head. He goes, "You realize you overpaid for all that shit, way overpaid." And all of a sudden he's still interested, but obviously he took his lumps last time. I guess that was enough to finally, he burned his hand on the stove and decided, wait a minute, I should probably double check before that it's hot before I move my hand over.
Fool me once, fool me twice.
Hey, look, I'm actually giving
him
credit.
After 2 times, so that's good.
I am giving him credit. He did learn something. So Steve Aoki has evolved at least slightly. He's at least learned that piece from it. So that surprised me. That legitimately shocked me. But the rest of the season and a lot of the stuff was like focusing on like them projecting way too high. They're shooting way too high. And even when they got there, it was barely. So in a lot of cases, they were like scraping by, barely hitting the numbers they were projecting for people. And it's like, okay. And like I said, even in the Comic-Con thing, he wasn't able to find it in the Comic-Con. It was a private buyer outside the Comic-Con who finally had the Action Comics 1. And he effectively had to overpay him because it's based on the grading. Eric's friend, the Action Comics was a 3.5 on the grading for comics. The one he ended up buying was a 3.0. He offered her $2 million for a 3.5, but he ended up getting $1,850,000 for the 3.0.
Yeah.
So he got pretty close to the same money for a half a point lower in terms of grade. So it's actually he did very well, I would say.
Yeah, on a comic and a half a grade, it's really hard to, especially on that comic, very hard to.
Exactly. So the emphasis was very much on pop culture. So very much heavily into pop culture. They were doing documents. They were doing different kinds of. There was a Bob Ross painting. Like I said, if you're interested in popular culture collectibles, that was a lot of that.
Oh, you left the biggest piece of the whole show out: the limo jet.
Eric is going to premiere the limo jet at Hobby Palooza. I didn't want to spoil it.
Damn it.
Eric is the buyer on the limo jet. Spoiler. Just letting y'all know.
I bought 2 in case one broke.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Or in case you crashed one.
So I'll get caught up on comments here. Paul was saying here, reviewing the Goldin Touch is somehow different from reviewing Manual in Space. Manual in Space is far more entertaining and far more wholesome. Eric, you should get on that.
I will not.
Not a man of culture, I see.
Make sure you
says Jan Stars. Fair. Kathy says, and we are sick of it. Vax. Along with having to do with chores. I know, Eric. You fail everyone. Good evening, Kathy.
They're not happy with me.
Gonna have to come
you can't even do chores.
Yeah. Well, you can water somebody's car, maybe. CC says, good evening, gents. Haven't seen most of the episodes of the Golden, having not seen any episodes of Goldin Touch, which is more entertaining, Goldin Touch or Pawn Stars. Oh, I prefer Pawn Stars. Pawn Stars at least has characters in it. You may not look, just assume every transaction is bogus on Pawn Stars. However, Chumley's at least entertaining. The point is they'll do some stunts. They'll do some silly stuff, whatever. That was my criticism of Goldin Touch. I'm like, try something, guys. Like it was like, here's another collectible item. It's $2 million. Here's another one. They had the overcoat that Kate Winslet wore in Titanic. So obviously, that's an expensive. It's a movie prop item, whatever. But like, look, again, nothing wrong with it. My point is like, but I don't care. But I don't care about great, that's fine. But I'm like, other than you could have grabbed any items. It's like this one's 100,000, this one's 250,000, this one's 500,000, this one blah blah blah. It's like cool. You might as well just be doing a procession of items.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the storyline? This is a reality show. Where's the maybe you challenge two guys in the show to be like, hey, for the next 6 months, which one of you gets the most consignments? And the winner gets, the limo jet. The winner gets the limo jet. Anything. I don't care. Just something. You needed some kind of a hook. Otherwise, it's just like, here's Barry Bonds. Okay, great. Yep, that is Barry Bonds for sure. No doubt. Like I said, the items themselves were fun. Not much more to it.
November.
Yeah, my point is like I kept waiting for there to be something, a hook for the season, or an overarching storyline or anything. And then I got to the last episode, finished the last episode. I'm like, I could have watched any of those episodes in any order, and I wouldn't have noticed any difference because there was barely any cohesion between the episodes.
You had better spend your time watching Squid Game. But anyways, move on.
Well, that's probably true. Fortunately, I was able to set it to 1.5 times. They do have the 1.5x option on Netflix.
Yeah, which is good. Well, season 2 is coming out in December, so you got
the Squid Game. Yes. Well, I've got Netflix for at least a month, so maybe hope springs the turtle. You never know. All right, so Paul. By the way, speaking of, they've also got the PGA Tour behind the scenes documentary Full Swing. By the way, the first season was actually really good. I'm gonna go watch season 2 because now they got season 2. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch this. This is probably gonna be way better than Goldin Touch. I was so disappointed, Eric. So disappointed. That's what I say. I'll give it 6 out of 10. Like some of the stuff was cool, but other than that, and the Steve Aoki revelation shocked me. But outside of that, I was like, man, just a whole lot of man.
Maybe it's more to entertain the layman.
I don't even know if it would entertain. Like I said, Bobby, it helps to have some,
story,
some energy,
yeah,
like anything, or have one of the characters be wacky,
or a plot. Yeah,
one of the characters are wacky.
On that show, nobody stands
out.
Because they're all stupid. But I mean, yeah, except that girl.
Ken's a little wacky.
No, on that show, he is bland. If you consider that wacky, there's wackier stuff on this show. That's boring. That's low bar. Please, we can talk. We can talk. I could pick a Friday Live at random, and there's more wackiness on there. Kenny does not have the personality to carry the show. He does not have it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I guess we're looking at that word a little differently because what everybody says.
No, he's weird. What you're calling wacky? The dude is just weird.
Yeah,
but he's not interesting weird. He's just like, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's the reaction. The reaction is
not weird.
It's not like oh my god, that's what's he doing? Oh, does he have gasoline? Does he have a match it? See, that's
like a Steve Buscemi weird.
Yeah,
weird. Yeah,
much better.
You never know what he's going to do.
Yeah, but no, Kenny does not have. Funny enough, his kids have way more personality than he does. Like honestly, if you give them a little more time, they probably have a better go of it. Carrying that segment of the show. But I was like, I don't know. I kept waiting for their look. In that case, I want to hear more from Barry Bonds. Bring Barry Bonds on. Like I'd rather listen to Barry Bonds tell some stories or something. Like have him and Reggie just hang out for a while and just chat. Like
throw the ball.
Between the two of them, they got more charisma anyway. They'd at least be more interesting. I'd rather listen to them the chat or something.
20 minutes of those guys throwing the ball back and forth.
It would be the best 20 minutes of that show.
Mm-hmm.
Other than Steve Aoki actually turning something down and not paying for it. Paul says, just make his next white chocolate cookies out of Mayo Kathy. There you go.
That's just disgusting.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, sorry. I was going to mention. So right on the first episode, this is why I say Ken's version of what he thinks is outlandish, whatever. I mentioned he was trying to get 2 T206 Honus Wagners through the course of the show. One of them is the infamous Gretzky McNall Wagner. And the other one was an SGC5 that at the time of the show was a new grade. It had been found and it was being great and it had been graded and it was an SGC5. It's a nice, clean looking copy, a very nice copy. And of course, Ken comes up with these ridiculous numbers. Oh, it could be worth 30 or 40 million. I'm sure it could, Kenny. Maybe in Doge. The point is that it is a valuable card, no doubt. So he was trying to get the consignment, of course. And the guy is not exactly in a hurry to consign it. He's got money. He doesn't need it. Like, you're trying to get rich guys and trying to entice them with cash when they already have cash, unless it's like a wacky amount. So his big outlandish stunt, this was in the first episode. His big outlandish stunt was that it might have been in the second, but anyway. So his big outlandish stunt was that he came to his place to try to talk him into it with $10 million in cash. And he basically put $10 million, but this is my point about the whole, they missed out on the dramatic part. So that he does this outlandish stunt, $10 million in cash, and puts it on his desk to show it to him. Again, this is already a rich guy. So he puts the money on there and he goes like, you said it's like 30 or 40 million. He goes, yeah. So what am I going to do with this? Get out. So like it didn't impress him. Like it would be like putting a shiny loony in front of Eric. He doesn't even know what to do with it. Like, what do you want me to do with this? I don't know what to do with this. I
gave it to the pizza girl, remember?
Yeah.
I gave a whole pocket off. Well, I gave her a $25 tip. I have no idea. I just wanted that shit out of my pocket.
Yeah. The point is, again, you put $10 million is a lot of money, but let's be realistic about it. You take somebody who's already well off, who already has lots of money. Yes, if you just left $10 million on his desk and walked away, he'll keep it. Like, he won't have an issue with that.
You're
not going to impress him with that.
I had the same impression, Carlos, when he asked for the Meknal Gretzky PSA. He was trying to flex on that. Hey, you want to sell this? It's the time right now, and
he's the guy who owns the Diamondbacks.
The
guy who owns it is the guy who owns the Diamondbacks.
Billionaire. Do you think the guy cares? Like, even if he gets $50 million out of that, to him, it's like he even explained to him that's the one that he won't sell. The old stiff.
He basically said he'll give it to his kids and they'll figure out what they want to do with it. He basically said like he's going to leave it to his kids, and if they want to sell it or whatever, then no problem. But it's up to the kids. He's content to let them. They basically have already been bequeathed it. So he was very polite about it, but he would have laughed Ken out of his office. Like, he goes, "You can't offer me enough money for me to care."
Yeah.
Like, let's be realistic about it. He couldn't have. So here, Dom, good evening. When are you telling me these big influencer transactions are amazing deals? Alas, not. The ice bath leads to the palace of wisdom, maybe. I don't know if it means bath or if he actually means bars. Maybe. I'm going to assume bath. Emmanuel 2 is a banger. Michael Hamm doing the culture. Eric, get on it. You need to see the first one so that you can see the sequel.
No.
Paul C says, imagining. Was that?
Paul C was asking, was that the hardcore pawn? Was that Detroit one? Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think that was hardcore pawn. Yeah.
But that was trailer trash pawn.
It's the best though. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's called. But I would have renamed it A Normal Week in Detroit.
Basically.
I guess.
Like, go near the ruins, and this is pretty standard.
There's some extra stuff.
Sorry, Detroit.
Look, the point is there are sections of Detroit where all I have to do is put security cam footage, and it's more entertaining than the Goldin Touch. All right, just security cam footage. Just let it play. Let it play.
CCTV, we make ton. Yeah.
Just let it play. Paul C says, imagining a cutscene. Comic guy with his Action Comics cracking out and heading to the bathroom. There you go. So here, Paul, does he sip Perrier weirdly on the show? Here's the thing. We barely get any of Kenny's. Like, it's like they stripped out anything that remotely makes. Look, again, Ken Goldin is a weird dude, but he's not a wacky, off the wall kind of entertaining dude. But the few quirks that he has that are at least mildly amusing, they cut them out. Go ahead, Yannick.
You forgot actually to mention a thing that I have no idea. There's a Kenny Goldin card now out in the wild.
Well, he's in the background of a card. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But Yannick,
one of the influencer cards?
It was literally
Tim going, hey.
It's an Embiid card. It's an Embiid card, and he's in the crowd.
He's
him being at the basketball game. Yeah. But here's the thing, Yannick, speaking to what I've been talking about, he didn't even give a shit.
No.
Kenny didn't give a shit. Like, his own staff was like, I thought he'd be a lot more interested in this, like, even that he's on the card. He's like, and then Kenny's like, yeah, I'd probably be interested. He's like, you, a man of ego. I'm a man of peace. He's a man of ego. A man of ego, don't even give a shit that you're on a card. And your staff is trying to pull this card because they think it would be neat to show you the card. And you don't even give a shit that you're on the card.
Well, he's got 5 acres, man. Like,
sure. Great.
4.9, but yeah.
No. 5.
Yeah. The last famous people to be on a card that I can remember didn't turn out too well for them. that special Mark Jackson card from a few years
worked
back.
out for them for a while, Eric. It was only when they got caught and everything got
shots are like linked to serial killers on sports card. Right?
You know, so I mean, maybe that'll be a thing. You know, it's like now that Kenny's on a card, his family better watch out.
Maybe they need to look on that 5 acre here and there.
Yeah, might be something buried in the treasure up there. So yeah, we need Hobby Palooza cards now.
Ooh,
or stickers.
Fancy. And then we all get cards and everything is nice and beautiful, and then Eric's just like really blurry and it just looks like the Sasquatch image. And it's like, wait, is it Eric? Wait, behind Eric, is that a leprechaun?
Holding a jar of
Eric's like, no.
Holding a jar of mail.
Yep, a jar of mail. He's being chased by a leprechaun and a jar of mail.
And speaking of that, since you brought it up, you son of a bitches, look what came in the mail this week. Okay, I don't need these.
Finally,
I have one with butterfly. This is called butterfly.
Sure,
yes. And you hit by it now as fast as you could.
This one's called Tiger Stripes. This one is out of 8, number 2 out of 8 acetate. Okay. None of you are stepping up and being caring friends to try to make this stop.
We're literally not your friends. We could no less be not your friends.
This is becoming a problem. All right. Soon, I think the lights are going to go off soon because I don't have enough money to pay the light bill. And these things keep piling up.
There's this 12-step program for Reggie Lemon and collectors. Don't worry.
There really is, yeah. Ham says, Billy needs to release that Bedard Gold 1 of 1. Look, Billy and I talked about this. We've got a whole thing. It's going to be the stage that they use in the gymnasium for the decision is available again. So once we can get there, I'll be able to reveal that the Bedard is taking its talents to get that bounty and get me a big old check. Paul here says, to be fair. Thank you. The Wagner could probably get 30 or 40 million, maybe. But like I said, Kenny would say 30 million for a Tootsie Pop. The problem is he just throws out outlandish numbers just for the hell of it at every look. If he thought it would work, he would have said 300 million. He would have said 30 million.
Yep.
If the 52 mantelpiece thing got shut down to 20 million, 40 could be low. Like it's possible. But all I'm getting at is that Kenny, whatever the real number is, Kenny's going for double or triple.
Yep.
T206 kid here says, I got 10 minutes in the first episode and turned it off, guys. I can't go on David Hunt for Hunt auctions to make my skin crawl. That's fair. And the good news is you didn't miss much because it wasn't that interesting. I would recommend, if you are curious, see if you can find some clips. There are some items that are legitimately interesting. Like there are some items that I think are actually kind of cool. And they're a little segment. Like the problem is when I'm talking segments, I mean like a 3-minute clip out of one episode that might be worthwhile watching here and there. That's about it.
Video game guys.
Yeah, sure. There was the guy. Yeah, there was a guy who. There were a couple of collectors who went there and kind of did a little tour and showed him some games and stuff. But it's like I've seen a lot of these games before. The emphasis is on how valuable it is. At the end of the day, it's just to get the consignment. So yeah, you're looking at some cool stuff, but the end goal is to get a consignment. So you're going to say whatever it is they have is really cool to get the consignment.
Sure.
So it doesn't matter whether it is or it isn't. And some of it is, but some of it, I think there was a Batman suit in there too, wasn't there? Like the George Clooney Batman. Yeah. So there's
nobody wants that.
They even talked about.
Listen, you're all about the bad nipples. Don't lie to people. All about that. Paul says, we want you to have nice things since you can't ride that bike. You're welcome, America. Paul's showing all love for you.
Well, Paul, nobody in 50 years of my life has ever added an A to my name to try to insult me. You're the first one. I'm really going to have to sit and think about this for a while.
But it's 50-50. Do you remember them all, though? Or did you remember occasionally fade as you fall off a stationary bike? Is there like brief head trauma? Do you lose gaps?
There's been a lot.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, you might not remember buying those Reggie Lemon M&Ms.
I don't.
So, by the way, inspired by our good friend Eric, I did actually get a couple of cards in the last couple of weeks. One of them is Leaf Metal, notable numbers. So inspired by Eric's work. So this one's numbered to 9. It's a regular one. I think they only have like 2 or 3 versions of this though, so it's not as bad as yours. It's not nearly as bad. It's actually pretty good. This one here is from the new Upper Deck trilogy. So they've got a generation subset. So that is the gold version, number 10. That's pretty solid. I'll do a little video for them. It's nice to add a couple of autographs. So it's nice to get some mail. So let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah. So that's Goldin Touch Season 2. If you got nothing better to do, knock yourself out. Otherwise, go watch Full Swing. Go watch Squid Game like Bobby recommends, or anything else. Find something else. I turned Netflix back on just to watch this shit, and I was so disappointed. I was hoping for more. I really was. Like, I was hoping that after the first season, all right, guys, you got a season under your belt. Like, give it a go. Go for it. Do the, maybe you should have spent the entire season riding around in the rocket limo. That would have been cool. Do that. Go in the rocket limo and solve mysteries.
Carlos did not enjoy the $16.99 he spent.
No, it was tragic. And now I got to leave it on the whole month to get my money's worth. Like, for goodness sake, I already paid for it. So I'm going to find some shit to watch. I'll binge watch some series or something. Like, I'll find something.
I'm watching The Gentleman.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. Here you go. Charity says, I want a rocket limo. Charity, have I got good news for you? I know where there happens to be a rocket limo. Yeah, I might want to get on this.
I thought I was going to get the rock. No. All right, we can split it. Charity, we can split it. You can have it alternating weekends.
There you go. All right, so we talked about that. I wanted to make sure I touched on that. I already talked on the Hobby Palooza. There is I mentioned to Bobby before we hit record, there is a CSC show this upcoming weekend. I'm still 50-50. In the back of my mind, I kind of want to go down for the, on Friday, hang out for a while, watch do the live stream on location, and then go to the card show for a couple hours on Saturday, head back over, and then do the Hobby Palooza thing. I don't know. It's ambitious, but maybe I'll think about it. I've got a couple of days to think about it, but this will be the 11th hour now. Rogers was being wacky, so that amused me this past week. That was fun. Rogers causing trouble. Always. I appreciated that. I'll touch on this real briefly here, since I've got it. All right, here's a question for you guys.
All right.
Both the Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals are both up 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
Which one of the series do you think lasts the longest? Or do they both finish at 4?
They both finish at 4.
You got both in 4? 2 sweeps?
I think
the NBA one, I'm pretty sure will be a sweep, just because the likelihood is it's not looking good for those guys.
See, I'm just the opposite. Like, the Celtics could lose tonight. I mean, three games in a row. They're due. The Mavs are a must win. They got 2 incredible players on their team with the good cast. They actually could win a game, send it back to Boston, and Boston wins at home. There's no way Florida's not sweeping the Oilers.
Well, the way they played, we talked about it on the podcast, and I wasn't joking. For the most part, I was going to ignore the Stanley Cup final. I really wasn't that interested, but I finished some stuff that I was doing. I finished some work last night. I was working on a couple of things late, but I finished. I closed the laptop. I put it away, and then I looked, and the score was 4-3. I saw it had been 4-1. Yeah. And it was like a minute 40 left. And I was like, well, 1-goal game, minute 40. Yeah, I'll put it on for a couple minutes. Sure. Let's see what happens. And I'll say, I saw the replays also of the goals that Edmonton got. A little cheap, but whatever, they count. For the most part, Bobrovsky's been good. Like, Bobrovsky's been very good. He's done a tremendous job. Like, if it had been for a couple of cheap goals there, Edmonton was able to make it interesting there at the end of the game. They would have been 3 goals to 3 games. Like, they were not. No, it would have been 2 goals through 3 games. Actually, it would have been worse. They were not having much success. Bobrovsky's doing his job. What I will say, though, in testament to how impressed I was with what Florida was doing, is that if you actually go and look, right at the end, Edmonton was trying to threaten. They were pulling the goalie. They were doing everything in their power. And Florida basically took it up against the boards and just locked it down. They basically are just like, we're going to hold it right up against the boards. Yep. We're not letting the puck move. The last 30 seconds was them just holding it against the board and just, which is smart hockey. That's very smart. Don't pass it around. Don't do wacky things. Don't let McDavid get his stick on it. Like, we're just going to lock it in here. It's not leaving this zone. It'll move.
Imagine beating the guy that had the puck pinned with the skate against the board was taking the hacks with the stick, elbow,
he wasn't going to move.
Punches. Everything. He was just getting the crap beat out of him.
And he wouldn't let it go.
Nope. He just bit his lip and took it. It was tough, man. That's
how winning is done. That is how winning is done. If you want to get done, because Edmonton was frustrated because they couldn't even get a shot off. Like that last 30 seconds, that puck wasn't moving out of that area. The puck was moving enough to keep the play going, but that's it. That's all that was happening, which to me is very smart hockey. That tells me that Florida understood the assignment in that moment. T206 Kid here says, I will say at this point, the 52 Mantle and Wagner bore me. That's fair. We see them all the time. They come overrated. They are still common enough. They are seen fairly often. Jeff says Edmonton forces game 5, but that's it. That's fair. That's fair. It's very possible. Cece says I would guess 2 sweeps. Panthers destined to win this year. They've done most of the work. They've got to do one more game. If the Panthers perform the way they can for one more game, it's curtains. Philly Joe, good evening. Carlos and gang, appreciate you. Tom says the last time the NBA and NHL champions ended in sweeps is 95. We'll see that again this year. Very possible. So 95, that would have been probably the Devils and maybe Houston. I'm guessing like the Devils and Houston because I think the Devils would have been 1. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dom. But I feel like it's Devils and Houston.
I've never been good at remembering that. You know, a lot of people you can say, okay, who won the Super Bowl in 2003, and they're like, boom. I'm like, I have no idea.
I used to be good at that. The problem is it's good. It's a good trivia thing. And I used to be able to do the World Series winners going back to the 30s and the 20s.
It was the Red Wings. It was the Devils and the Red Wings.
Yep. Paul confirms as well. Perfect. So my memory on that mid-90s period is still solid. Good to know.
On 4 games, the Devils won 5-2 over the Detroit Red Wings game 4. First championship for New Jersey.
Nice.
Well,
yeah, and that started the trap era, by the way. That started the trap era. Yeah. Which was rough. Like, look, I can't complain. Dallas was able to win using a system like that, but man, that was rough.
That's not how they won. They won
that
by
was boring hockey.
Let's not talk about 95. Jeff says, fair enough. Beat me to it. Yep, there you go. Perfect. Appreciate you folks. It was good. I appreciated the challenge. I appreciated it was challenging my memory. Brodeur, there you go. Dufex, thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So
I just saw today Bobrovsky, the Panthers goalie. He passed what on the save percentage in playoffs.
Yeah, he's number 1.
But it surprised me. He's been killing it. Like because they've been getting outshot as well.
998 is something that ridiculous. Like,
well, I don't think it's. I think 998. The man should be winning all the Stanley Cups. It's going to be in the 900s for sure, though. It's going to be the high 9s.
Hang on,
for sure.
But yeah, he's top of the chart now. I mean, that might not last. He might, might let up 10 goals. I mean, who knows? But he's having statistically the one of the best performances in the finals.
It's been very impressive. Like, I'm not going to lie.
It has been high octane offense. That's impressive.
No doubt.
All right, he's got a .13.
Sorry, 0.13?
So that's goal. Is that
0.913.
Yeah, 913, which is very good. Yeah. Which, by the way, is very good. Over a multitude of shots, that's very good. So what I was going to say here is that I've got a couple of other ones here. So let's finish this off. I did a standalone video. If you didn't get a chance, check it out on the channel. I talked about the end of the PMG saga. So I wanted to open it up if anybody else wanted to chime in. I gave my 2 cents already. I did that in the video. The bottom line was Eric's favorite company in the world, the one he vouches for at all times, effectively got off scot-free. Long story short, it was the red PMG, fake red PMG Jordan that was a recolored base card, which I speculated on when we originally talked about. The first conversation we had, I speculated it was just a recolored base card. That's what it looked like to me. Turns out that's what it was. It took the combined efforts of Beckett, eBay, and the seller and the buyer all together, fighting together so that eBay basically paid everybody off. So the end result, now, the reason why they did that, and I mentioned that in the video, that's why I wanted to make sure that I did that in a standalone video. So here's the short version of it. The way the eBay authentication policy is today, they check the slab to make sure the slab has not been altered, to make sure the slab is not fake, to make sure that it matches what was promised on the auction. That is the way they've written it since the beginning, since day one when they initiated this policy. Now, they just had a $46,000 lesson on why it might be wise to give yourself some kind of an out. But they didn't. eBay basically sat there and said, well, based on what our policy was, and I said in the video, I actually hold Beckett predominantly responsible for this because their mistake was the first domino to fall that then caused the rest of it. Because once that happened, eBay's hands were tied by their own policy. They effectively couldn't stop it. And they also couldn't punish the seller because unless they had all the evidence in the world that the seller fraudulently did that, the seller sent it into the third-party grader who basically signed off on it.
Right.
And as soon as they did that, game on. Everybody else fell in the line. Now the buyer got their money back. Great. That's fair. And the seller was rewarded, in effect, for this fake card. We can speculate on exactly where that card came from and how much he knew about how the alteration and everything. But the reality is he got a sweet cash prize. My opinion, and the opinion of a couple of folks in the comments as well, is that I do think Beckett bears some responsibility for this to eBay as well. Because in effect, they screwed over eBay because eBay was like, we relied on you to be the first line of defense, and you completely folded like a cheap 10, and you left. And our policy did not allow us to then push back.
Is this fan too loud?
No, right now you're okay. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
It's hot here, man. I'm just like, whew.
No, today's been a hot day.
Shame on eBay for having such a stupid policy that we can't see that something's wrong. And do something about it.
The policy, though, Eric, the point that I made in the video, the policy really is like one of the few things that sellers have actually gotten from eBay. It's like the only thing that, like, remember, I operate on both sides of the fence here. I buy obviously a ton on eBay. But the thing is, as a buyer, I have tons of protections. As a buyer, I have so many protections on most items. So like there's a lot of shady things I can do as a buyer that eBay will let me get away with. For the seller, this is the one thing. If it passes eBay authentication, I get paid. That's like the one thing.
Yep.
No takebacks. No takebacksies. So, and eBay did it to themselves. So now, if I'm eBay, if I'm sitting there and we're doing a postmortem, I'm going to be like, guys, we have to have something. We have to, if it's obvious, if it's egregious, if it's very clear there's been a problem here, there's got to be something we can do to like put a stop and go and validate directly with the grader. Hey guys, we're looking at this. I checked the serial number. It's right. I checked the slab. It looks fine. But I'm looking at it and it doesn't seem right. It's a Mickey Mantle card, but it says Sandy Koufax on the label. This seems wrong. This seems wrong.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, Beckett would never do something like that. Yeah. You're just making stuff up.
The point is, though, that it's on eBay now to look at that policy and make sure they give themselves some kind of an out under very specific circumstances. Yep. If it's so egregious and so obvious that, we can see it from space, not only can we see the ComC building, we can see this error from space.
Mm-hmm.
If it's that kind of situation, they need to have an out. They should. But the rest of the time, if I'm a seller and the item has gone through the authentication, has followed its process, and look, I took it to a third-party grader who said, yes, I took it to third-party authentication. They double-checked the slab. They double-checked all this. It's all good. Yes, I want to get paid if I'm a seller.
You have to watch eBay. They're going to get their lawyers to write something up, so you'll get an update on your eBay notification.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
I hope so.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of lawyers, the buyer in this, and maybe the seller too, they need to see what their legal rights are when it comes to suing Beckett for damages.
Good luck.
Because technically the buyer didn't have any damages. He got his money back in full.
So somebody needs to hold this company accountable because they keep doing this shit, continue to get away with it, and every
Beckett or eBay.
Well, but Eric, in this case, honestly, you just talked about the buyer and the seller. Those are the two parties that got their money back or got their money. So they're the ones with the least legal leg to stand on. I'm not a lawyer and I didn't say it a Holiday Inn. eBay is the one that's like, you screwed us. Yeah. eBay is the one that can go look over Beckett and say, like, what the hell is this?
And they can go head to head with Beckett with money.
But I think if someone was going to do it, eBay would be the one who would be like, hey, you screwed us because we did this. By the way, in 99.999% of cases, this guarantee is not going to cause us any problems. It's fine. But if you screw up like this, there's clearly a loophole. Now, to be fair, it requires, again, the first line of defense to screw up in this way. So from eBay's perspective, they're going to look at it and go like, well, most of the time this will not be an issue. Most of the time the seller will be the one who makes the mistake. They'll write the thing in the eBay auction will not match the holder, and there's their out. They can say like, nope, we do not authenticate this. We do not guarantee it. We're out. But in this case, all of it matched up, and it was still wrong. That was the problem. So from eBay's perspective, they can look over at Beckett and go, hey, you got some explaining to do, Lucy.
Hey,
I hope
remember, eBay got their fees.
Yeah,
regardless.
No, for sure. But that's the thing.
Totally out of the game.
Well, in this case, the fees don't help them at all. Like it doesn't. They have to pay out double the price of the item in order to basically get out of this from their perspective.
I get it.
But, yeah. So CC says BGS not paying anything in the fake PMG might come back to bite them. This is the question in this instance here. Imagine if this fake is sold in person. Would BGS stand behind this lap? They have no guarantee. Beckett does not have any guarantee. Right. There's no written guarantee of any kind. I've not more reason to stick with PSA and the high dollar cards. Yeah, and that was I know that Baseball Collector had a debate with Theo Clemente Collector on his channel where they talked about it, and they were talking about the infamous upcharges and everything. And like, I'm not going to open up that full can of worms, but the bottom line is that PSA is the only one currently who has a guarantee. SGC has made good in the past, but they also do not have a written guarantee. Beckett definitely does not have a written guarantee. I don't think CGC has a written guarantee that I'm aware of. So really, none of them are liable technically.
Would SGC now fit under the PSA protection plan?
So at the moment, no, because right now they're still operating as two separate policies for each other. But it may be a good idea to kind of sweep them in under. Yeah, but that would be a good thing. That'd be nice. That'd be a nice feature ad to be like, okay, yeah, we'll officially cover you. You know, as opposed to before, like most of the time SGCP will like, we'll cut you a check. We'll cut you a check. Okay, I believe CGC has a written guarantee. Good. I honestly hadn't seen it previously. I'd be glad. That'd be good. I would prefer that they stand behind their work. In general, I would like them all to do that. But PSA was the only one that I was 100% aware of that they definitely had. If CGC has it as well then kudos to them, because frankly, I like CGC. I use them for some of the stuff where I grade some stuff through Compsy. I like them. So I would like them to have a written guarantee. That'd be awesome. That'd be great. So Dufex is saying minimum wage workers can't even get my McDonald's order correct. Facts. You expect to catch label errors? No. Well, actually, so thank you for bringing this up. Actually, I was saying to Bobby before we went live, it's not even necessarily about catching label errors. I'm going to throw out a different scenario as well. We've got the pass the buck situation in a lot of these cases as well. And I gave some examples, but I'll just stick high level. A lot of these workers, especially folks that are in this category, who have one specific job, it's like an assembly line gig. Your job is just to pay attention to this one thing, and that's it. You can sit there and you can see a very clear problem for something else, but if it falls outside of your scope, then you can be like, well, you can literally pass the buck and be like, well, it wasn't my job to check for that thing. Even though you can see it, like right in front of you. You could have stopped it. But a lot of people are just going to be like, nope, I'm cutting my ass. It is not my job to stick my neck out to fix this. Nope. We're going to move on. We're going to move on. We're going to move on.
Like Boeing.
And they'll keep doing it. And eventually someone whose department it is will actually have to look at it. But everybody else won't. So it's one of those things where they'll pass it along. It's not even the minimum wage. It's not even whether they can see it or not. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if someone along the way saw it and they're like, huh, that seems off. But it's not my department. Here you go. It just moves it along. And if enough people do that, you end up where you end up.
Yeah. Duplex, what do you need McDonald's for anyways?
The McNuggets are good. I think the McNuggets are good.
Those mechanically deboned, are you what?
Mechanically deboned, anyway. Yes. Look, I have my McNuggets with my ice cream cake. It's excellent, Bobby. Don't question
ice cream cake. Of course you do.
I've never had McNuggets.
You like
never
McNuggets?
You never have anything, Eric. You're giving us you don't have anything.
You don't even know what a drive-through is.
You're not a reference for anything.
Your customer gruel will suffice.
I've never had a McNugget.
Yeah. Paul C says Beckett buy wisely. Wasn't that the quote? Maybe. Yes. Actually, when they were having the fake slabs, I think that's right. I think that was the quote. That's right. Dr. Exclusive. Evening, guys. I like how Beckett emphatically referred to a mislabel, not a misgraded card. Yeah. Well, technically it was a mislabel. The label was wrong. The card in it was authentic altered, but it was mislabeled. I believe CGC is guaranteed to get it. That's what we were just talking about here. Thank you, CC. I love finding CGC in the wild. You know, you can steal it. The grades are legit and the slab is awesome. Yeah, the price is low. Not literally steal it. Although Paul, allegedly. But not literally steal it. It is cheaper. You can get a good slab. It is cheaper.
Yeah.
Submitter's inability to properly identify a card's condition and the price associated with the card graded in that condition. Sure. I understood what he was saying, but it's like, no, it's, like I said, I didn't want to go down the full path, the full open up the can of worms. But look, the reality is, when it comes to a lot of people, everybody hates upcharges. Nobody actually likes them. But the reality is, they're allowed to charge them. There's literally a chart. There's a chart. There's those different price points, and there's different pricing depending on it. And you're allowed to charge whatever the hell you want.
Bullshit.
Well, you wait and see, Eric, when they start upcharging you on the chocolate stick.
Yeah. Then
What? Eric, chocolate stick? $50.
You don't joke about that.
$50.
Hey.
50.
You don't joke about that.
50. Duvek says, because
he's
it's Sunday and Chick-fil-A was closed. Oh, I'm not joking. We need to upcharge that shit. It's for everybody's own good.
it is.
CC says the fake PMG is way worse than someone throwing on the wrong label. The fake card was actually logged in the BGS pop report as a PMG. BGS failure throughout because they're just the guy who inputs it in the pop report just reads the label. Yeah. Look, I'm not joking about this. The like I said, when they put in the information, and I gave that analogy about the ones where they swapped out the labels. The serial numbers didn't match either. If you check the pop report, you would see the two grades and you'd see the two cards, but they were wrong. The serial numbers were wrong. They completely swapped them wrong. And that's literally with Mickey Mantle on the front of the card, Sandy Koufax up here, Sandy Koufax here, Mickey Mantle here, and they still put them in the pop report that way. No one cares. They're not reading. They don't read.
No, and I said this on our podcast on Monday, that the majority of people who work for these companies are not collectors like everyone in the chat and the four of us on the screen. They just are there for a job. Now, there are definitely people who work for these companies that are just as passionate as all of us, but they can't be everywhere at every moment. So what you have is the majority of people working in the warehouse, working in the on the computers typing stuff. I was going to say typewriters. I'm going to date myself.
It's Beckett. It might be typewriters.
It might be typewriters. So they are not collectors. They're just 9-to-5ers working a job. If somebody, either called up a friend and said, "Hey, there's a job available. I know you need one," or they saw it advertised locally, and they went down there and said, "Yeah, I can type." And they said, "Great. This gets put in front of you. You type this. Put it to the left of you. Someone will come pick it up."
That's all. The rejects from McDonald's are going there.
That's what I mentioned on what I was talking about in the podcast episode. I go, I will bet you the labeling department is literally just data entry. You could literally grab anybody off the street. Their job is whatever it says in that piece of paper, you type over here.
Yep.
That's it.
And that's it. And then hit enter and go to the next one. Hit enter and go to the next one. Hit enter and go to the next one.
They don't know about the different cards. They don't know about the players.
They don't need to. Their job is to read what it says on a piece of paper and write it down. That's it. So whatever it says, they could say, it's like, why does my label say, the person literally just typed.
What it said.
All they did was type. They saw it on the paper and they wrote it down.
It's Ron Burgundy, people. He will read anything you put on the teleprompter. Okay? It's Joe Biden. He will read anything you put on the teleprompter. That's all.
My favorite. My favorite was one of my buddies from high school. Was one of those folks who would start typing. If he's in the middle of typing something, if you say something to him, he will start typing what you're saying. It's like you could deprogram his brain. It's like he could not lock in on what he was doing. And I would literally just not that I would do that, Nanapies. I would never even dream of capitalizing on this for entertainment. Mm-hmm. No, Bobby, Nanapies. I would never even dream of something. So basically, I would completely fuck with him for like a page and a half. And he's just gonna go. I just do a whole stream of consciousness and he'd type it out for me. He'd transcribe it for me beautifully. It's fantastic.
And Duplex, they don't have the best fries. They have like 12 ingredients in their French fries. other than potatoes, you really don't need much more. But regardless, and they're thin, so they get cold fast. And if they're not hot to begin with, then they're cold in 2 minutes before you can get your burger. Unless you're one of those weird people who eat their burger first or their fries first, and then their hamburger or fries. You know, you got to eat them together. It's a balance.
In the burger.
Huh?
There you go.
I used to open the burger up, put the fries in, smush it, and eat it all together.
You didn't. You don't even go out to eat. What are you talking
about? I don't eat that. I don't.
He does that in his own house. He does that to himself.
Oh, that's it, Mom.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, Eric at some point is going to realize that that's inefficient and just throw it all in the blender and just go with it. He'll throw it including the glass that holds the drink. All of it's going straight in the blender. So I'll ask Dufex this question, but before I do, I'm going to pose a question for the chat and for everybody else. So I want you to think on this, and we're going to talk about it here in a second. So because I wasn't joking, I had notes. I came up with some notes for this for today. What I was going to ask was, though, given their latest transgression, I think I know the answer, but I want to pose it to everybody else here. So is there actually anything that our good friends at Beckett can do to finally kill off the last of the diehards? How much crap do they have to do? What do they need to do for you? Like, what's the last step? What's the red line? What's the crossing of the Rubicon? What is it?
It's
like,
hobby.
What do you need?
It's like the hobby. It's like those dealers that shouldn't be around, but they're still around. It doesn't matter. The hobby's like this bottomless pit, this black hole that people just kind of exist in, and they never stop existing. So unless they go out of business completely. Look at who's still around right now. HGA is still around. How?
Well, actually, this reminds me, Eric, you'll appreciate this. I don't know if you caught, I was skimming through and I saw that Rattle Pokemon had made a video on Beckett. Okay. And apparently, I was going to send it to you. It completely slipped my mind. Apparently, our favorite, the Beckett owner of the conglomerate, the one who had been in jail, and apparently is going back and has another legal problem now.
Yes, jailbird.
Apparently, though, is trying to kind of shield himself from people finding that, because he's got a website and he's got articles that he does on his website for one of the things he does that he promotes. Right. And he's putting his name all over the articles so that when you Google search, his articles come up above the stuff for him about the jail and the legal problems. Right. He's like spamming his own name so that it comes up higher in Google so that you can't see the rest of the underneath.
He's trying to beat the algorithm.
It's fantastic. I figured you'd appreciate it. If I can find it, I'll send you a link.
To the Beckett book of bullshit.
It might qualify. Yeah, it might qualify.
Okay. I'll get the book.
All right. So, Bobby, so this one is a question for you. So what do you prefer then? So these are fast food fries. So because if we're talking McDonald's fries, we got to be you can't talk homemade. It's got to be fast food fries. So what is best
fast food? You know, you do have Swiss LA who does have fresh fries and hard.
Yeah, Swiss LA would qualify, sure. Yeah,
you know, so they have the regular French fries. Those are the ones that I really enjoy. There's really, there is one other. What is it? Like I guess Wendy's probably has a good fry. It's a little thicker. Other than that, I can't really get into too many fries. I tried not to eat too many fries anyway. So
okay.
But
Paul's a Burger King guy. Paul likes his Burger King for fries. Zach, I assume, needed to type more, but unfortunately he was hitting the typewriter. He just mine.
My favorite French fries are
my two. Zach.
Somebody said good something. Evening. Finish this sentence.
Yeah, there'll be more. There'll be more forthcoming. But good evening to you, Zach. So I just want to make sure. So I was curious. Like I said, I asked as a legitimate question. I am genuinely curious. So CC is 5 guys for fries. There you go. Thank you, CC. So my question to you is: so is there anything left? Is there anything that our good friends at Beckett is there anything like anything? Do we need upcharges? Like what else do we need? Like if the holder disintegrates in the light, like what's it going to take? What do I need to do to get you to sell off Beckett today? What do I need to do?
Somebody can walk in and really do something with that company. I still keep saying that, but I do believe it's true.
He's got his book updated. There you go, Ben.
We have our second entry.
Okay.
Perfect.
I have
that is related to the
owner tries to spam Google so people will not be able to see his legal issues.
Correct. Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Our second entry of the Beckett book of bullshit.
What's the first one again, to reiterate?
What we just discussed. Beckett slabs a fake PMG Jordan red, and it sells on eBay for $23,000.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. We shall continue henceforth.
Shouldn't we go back in time a little bit because we can fill that up?
Oh, Bobby, like Lord, no, I am not. Bobby, it's only a 4-hour
show. Holder, maybe. The holder.
Eric, it's only a 4-hour show.
It says -1 and put the holder.
As of 5/31/24.
Yeah,
so it's added there.
Henceforth.
Yeah,
right. No worries, Zach. Jeff has Wendy's. There you go. Good.
Wendy Betty's.
Dufek says Five Guys is great, but not fast food category in my opinion. All right, a little controversy. Fair enough.
Yeah, I guess you're thinking fast food is more of the chains, the bigger chains.
Maybe.
Chains.
Like, here's the thing. I didn't define it. I'm not defining it for people. Like I leave it open to interpretation. However you see
guys, kind of gourmet, custom. Only selected locations, not that many kind of thing.
Eric, I kind of wanted Eric. It would be so on brand for us that for Hobby Palooza, it's like, all right, we're settling this fucking fry debate once and for all. Let's go. And we just bring a bunch of folks on and talking about fries. Yannick, would that not be like the most on brand thing?
Samples and everything.
Yeah, like we're going to discuss this. Eric, start taste testing. Let's go. I love Chicky and Pete's fries. Beckett is like a bad penny. Yeah, Beckett does not want to go away ever. The person I run really from in the fake PMG, the underbidder. There you go.
That's triple B.
Yeah. Culver's has a great fry, but too small of a chain. All right. Yeah, there's those regional chains too. There is those regional chains too.
Yeah,
that is fair. All right. So let me pose a follow-up question here. So this one, separate category. Is you see, we actually have hobby talks today. Like, believe it or not, crazy. Ooh. So let's talk about everybody's favorite, the Nacional. Yes, our good friends at the Nacional. There is a spot of controversy with the Nacional.
I've heard something, and I was wondering if somebody could clarify because I can't get an answer to why they're doing what I've been told that they're doing.
Well, we're going to discuss this. So the question, the controversy for the Nacional is that they have decided they are going to crack down and enforce basically policies relating to subletting your table. So, for example, where this becomes an issue. So let me present kind of one overarching point here, and then we'll open it up. We can discuss it. The way the National operates its business today, they're under new management as well. You got to bear in mind. So I'm going to lead with saying they're under new management. So anything that's going on right now, it may also be related to what they're trying to do with themselves. But bottom line, the way they've been doing this for years is they've got like a priority list. It's kind of a seniority thing. The longer you've been around, the longer you've been going, the more. Basically, if you don't break the chain and you're an OG and you've been going, every national for years and years and years and years, and you keep paying for the tables, you go up the pecking order. And what happens is that means you have access to certain premium spots. It's like having the top draft pick every year. And the longer you hang in there and continue to pay for your booths, it allows you to maintain your privileged position to be able to select your location. That's important because that's prime real estate that you can position yourself in a certain way. Well, a lot of those longtime dealers, not all of them, obviously, but a lot of them look at it and go, well, we've got 15 tables or 5 tables or 10 tables or whatever it is. We're probably going to bring up 6 or 7 tables worth of stuff, but we got about 3 tables over here. But we got to keep all of it in order to keep our spot in the pecking order. So you say to yourself, okay, so what are we going to do? All right, Bougie Eric, bring some of your Boston Bruins bullshit.
Yeah.
Fill up a couple of showcases and boom. Yannick, bring some expos. Boom. Bobby, trinkets. Boom. All the tables are now filled up. So what you've done in effect is you filled up all the tables, but now you've got a variety of stuff. So you've got whatever you were bringing originally in these tables, Boston Bruins bullshit over here, expo stuff over here, and trinkets over here. So what it creates, so that I want to present both sides here. What it does, though, is it creates a potentially more varied experience for the consumers walking the floor because they're not just getting one thing, they're actually getting 3 things in this case, or 4 things from the same table, even though it's one table, one booth set up. But what happens, though, is it by that subletting, it allows the person who has the premium spot to be able to make a little bit of their money back. And the national folks are like, wait a minute, that's our money. Because if you can't fill up all your spots, we could just sell a couple of those tables to somebody else.
But the price will be the same, so it doesn't really matter in that sense.
From the national perspective, yes. From the national perspective, yes. But what they're looking at is if you cannot fill up all those spots and yet you're retaining those many spots, and we've got a waiting list. We could literally charge them more money and get money from them to fill in some of those. Instead of you making money from those additional 3 tables, I can sell it out to these other ones who will also take some table space as well. And I'll break it up. So it's one of those, like, because right now you've also got a privileged position. It's not just having the tables, it's also having the prime real estate, which has value as well.
So
it's one of those things where
pissing off, I guess, the OGs, but you're making the newbies happy.
You're not, though, because the OGs can still have their spot if they pay for the tables they were supposed to be paying for in the first place. But the point is, if you, the OG, cannot fill in all your tables, then maybe you don't need all those tables. That's
100%.
kind of their angle, is they're looking at it.
I lived it.
That's the angle. Yeah, that's the angle they're making. Mm-hmm.
When you got 16 tables and you got to fill 8 cases of Wayne Gretzky, I'm sorry, you got too many fucking tables.
Yeah.
Period.
The point where the downside is, though, so both sides here. From the dealer perspective, it's a pain in the ass because it creates this scenario. Maybe you don't have quite enough inventory or varied enough inventory to fill all the space that maybe you once did. Or maybe you just don't want to hire enough people to come there and man all these tables. And you realize there's an opportunity for you to make some of your money back by subletting. That's an opportunity for you to recoup some of your funds and not have to carry the load of filling all the tables. And you've got additional bodies. So it's kind of a win-win situation for you. But on the other side of it, because you brought those other people in and allowed more variety, if you enforce it to the letter, in this case, it's the letter of the rules. When you signed on for those tables, you agreed that it's supposed to be just you. It's supposed to be just you. That was always the case. But now they're enforcing it. They're enforcing the speed limit. By doing that, though, it might reduce the variety, because in that scenario I just gave you, I gave you a scenario where the 3 of you presented different versions of the showcase within the same booth, thereby creating additional variety, as opposed to just being the one monotonous thing. So when you're the showgoer walking the tables, you're not seeing Bobby with trinkets. You're not seeing Yannick with the Expos. And you're not seeing Eric with the Boston Bruins bullshit, because they're not there. They're not allowed to be there.
Why you gotta be mean?
Because I'm Carlos. Because I'm Carlos.
Yeah.
Oh.
How about the other way around, on the fact that, yes, there is a waiting list, but the more and more now that square footage is just sold to the big names, which is basically, in a way, bullshit, because all this is a carpeted place with flyers. But now there's not enough rooms for the little guys. But now if you're one of the big guys, the little guy, and if you don't use all your tables, I mean, I can see both ways, but like, how about maybe cut some of the corporate, which is, I know you'll be saying, well, that's my bread and butter, but at the same fucking time, like, who cares that eBay, I'm sorry, but do you need like the equivalent of 50 booths to just tell me you're eBay?
There is something to that. Like, honestly, if you looked at the expo and said, I'm going to take back some, like Panthers, do they need 12 booths? You know, does eBay need 8 booths? Do all these other places?
For the longest time, they were Panther. So they needed it just to make sure that we all knew they were Panther.
It takes a while to learn, but, you know, finally you walk by it enough times, you realize that it's a stupid name.
Biggest waste of space the whole show.
Don't take pictures of it. Hey, don't take pictures of it.
Hell no.
He won't let you.
Don't take pictures.
Mr. Clean doesn't like it.
Woo!
And that's why we have people in the other small area, is that that has taken over. And now, remember, I did the show for 20 years, and it was 4 guys. We came together as collectors, and we put stuff out, some wax, some cards, some trinkets, some whatever. So we did that, and we had a great variety at our booth, and I think people appreciated it. Did we have a great spot? Pretty good. They're at one of the corners. So I don't see that being really an issue for the expo. Driving people in the back, I won't take a booth in the back. Nobody wants the booth in the back. Like, honestly,
that's right. So it plays into Philly Joe's question: how do other larger shows operate, i.e., the expo? So I'll speak strictly the expo. The expo, I won't say they don't care, but they're realistic from the perspective that they understand that a lot of the business is based on booths that are combinations of people that are coming together. So in reality, you know, it can be one booth. It can be a unified booth, a unified name. And there's a lot of these, by the way.
A lot.
But realistically, the people that are in there that have the dealer badges so we'll use an example. Last expo. The booth there, Bobby was there, had his booth with your friend there, and Yannick was also at the booth. So the three of you were there, and Yannick had a couple of cards. I bought a card from Yannick right out of a showcase. So like the reality is, you had your items that you were selling, your friend had items that he was selling, and Yannick had some items that he was selling. So there's three of you. You're not a card shop. You're not operating that way, but you each individually had some space in the different showcases and what was going on in the display, and you were all selling items. And while you were walking off to do some work, Bobby, Yannick was selling some items, helping try to sell it, and then your buddy would come in and you guys would shuffle. You'd move in and out of the booth, and that's standard. My buddy Steve generally has one or two friends that'll come with him to do, and I'll come by the booth and give my hand for a couple of minutes. Yeah. But I'm not a dealer. And but I do have a dealer badge because I am friends with one of the other. So there's a lot of mix and matching. My dealer badge comes from AMG when I'm working with them. So that's where my dealer badge is coming from. But I'm not a dealer, and I'm not setting up as a dealer. However, I got a dealer badge. I can literally walk around and help out. So I'll help my buddy Steve out in a pinch. I'll go over to the AMG folks and chat with them a little bit and hang out for a little bit. And if they needed me to help them out with something, I'd help them out. No problem.
Now, I understand the one part of one aspect. Remember, the Nationals based on there's board of directors and everything for this. The big thing that they work off of is if you sublet, I think subletting is kind of wrong. Like, in a sense that, hey,
by the rules, like that's the key. By the rules. That's why I'm saying they're doing the speed
items
you're not supposed to. Now, if we're being realistic, if we're being honest, do some folks have some tables and split the costs? Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
And it's a good thing. It's more variety of people. So why not?
That's the point. Yes.
But to sublet somebody else and you keep the booth for 10 years and you let this guy keep going, and
that's where it becomes murky, Bobby. That's where I will speak to both. I do kind of understand their point because there are folks. That's why I gave the queue thing. I talked about the pecking order.
Yeah.
Where the OGs have advantage. If they're not even going to set up a table, they're not even going to set up a showcase. They're not even going to put a card down, and they've literally subletted the entire thing, but they have like a primo spot, and therefore they can make a profit on those tables because my booth is $10,000, but I made $25,000 subletting it to three or four guys to take up the booth.
So that's wrong.
That's kind of BS.
But that's like holding season tickets.
It is.
You're not allowed to scalp them, right?
Like I don't like Eric. He owns half of Fenway Park, but he never goes.
At least half. Yeah. But the point is, so in this situation, I can in fact, it's a cliche, but I can in fact see both sides. I can 100% see both sides of this argument, because from the promoter standpoint, it's bullshit if someone who has a primo spot clearly has no intention of using it is hanging on to it strictly through subletting. That's the only reason they're still holding that spot.
That's right.
That's bullshit. From their perspective, they're like, wait a minute, we've literally got a waiting list. There's a bunch of guys who would be happy to take that spot from me right now.
That I will give into.
But again, it goes back to like CC there and what I mentioned.
Yeah.
You just selling like now like over 60% the floor to corporates, which is, I get it. Now like your show is paid. So everything else is gravy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
that's what I said. I can understand both sides.
Walk through like a whole bunch of nothing. Like it's just like, wow, man. Like there's your problem. That's how you're gonna make more room, more tables, more interesting, more variety, and less freaking corporate bullshit that just sells you plastic holders. I'm sorry.
But the corporate thing is not going to change anything, because the corporate booths cost so much money that the promoters make bank on that.
Oh, yeah.
But that's good. But forage, they don't need like fucking like that guy said. They don't need 20 booths with 4 girls just giving you flyers. I'm sorry.
Yannick, if we're being realistic about this, if the National could sell the entire floor space to corporate, like, fuck you guys. I don't care. Like,
Carlos,
we make 50 times as much.
In 20 years, there won't be any more National.
That is also a very true statement. There is a balance. There is a balancing act, because they do make a ton of money from those.
Now they have competition.
But you don't want to overdo it. And that exactly, Bobby. Thank you for touching on that. That's why I wanted to make sure I'm saying that I can see both sides of this argument. I can see 100%. From the show promoter standpoint, it is bullshit when someone is clearly being fake about retaining the booth. They're not using the booth. This is not sharing the booth with people to make it work. No. You are just selling. You are using the booth. You are buying the real estate and selling it at a profit to somebody else. That's how you're making your money.
That's the problem I would have.
Yeah. That is bullshit.
I have no problem with other people having parts in the booth as long as you're there in the booth as well. Correct. But if you have 8 booths and you're renting them out to 17 guys, because that goes on, well, not that much, and not the expo. You know, there's a guy who has the booth, and then this guy pays his portion, this guy, and it kind of covers their hub of, you know, dead space or dead selling space, so to speak. Because honestly, I see these new people, they don't know how to set a table up. They don't realize that it's $200 a square foot, and they don't utilize it. They just use 2 feet by 6 feet. It's like, that's it. That's all you're doing. Like, you've got a 10 by 10 booth and you use this much space. It's like ridiculous. Utilize, market yourself, do something, put more shit. Like, honestly, it's just, people need a lesson in that. But anyways, I get what you're saying. And then now they have a stern competition, not just a fly by night thing. This is Fanatics.
So playing into that point. So playing into that point. So I talked about the one side where I can see it from the promoter's perspective, where if someone is clearly abusing the system, that is not good. We can agree that is not kosher. That's not cool. Other side of the equation, though, it does create, because if you're being strict enough and you're really locking it down and making sure, you're also going to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Because in order to really, if you're going to do strict adherence, like zero tolerance, you know, that means that there are some other dealers who are using part of their booth. They're not going to take that chance. They can't. They won't even share the space because they don't want any question of impropriety. They don't want to lose their spot because they are using it. So they're going to play it safe. They're going to absolutely. Now the downside of that is you lose the scenario I gave. You're going to lose some of the variety. Some of the booths are going to become very monochrome. They're going to become very generic, and that's a problem because. And then as a showgoer, all of a sudden you're like, there's not a lot of variety here. Like, yeah, there's some tables, but like, it's not much going on here. It's kind of lame. You know, it's because they're going to play it safe then. If you're going to play it safe, you're going to go vanilla. You're going to go whatever you think. You got to get your money back for your very expensive booth, right? So you're just going to go with the lowest common denominator, whatever you can move in volume that'll get the job done. And that's going to put a real damper on transactions. That's going to make it real tough to move a lot of things. So Paul's here saying, do you think that we're trying this out of Cleveland because they know it's going to be a loss for the show and take a loss in a down year? I don't even think it's a down year. I think, look, we tease about a lot of locations, like Bobby's favorite place in the world, like the most magical place on the planet, Atlanta, Georgia. We tease about different locations, but realistically, Cleveland. So I'm going to separate 2 thoughts. I don't have any moral problems with Cleveland. Like I said, I went with my buddy to think. We went to a certain part of it near the baseball stadium and everything. It was nice. We went to some nice restaurants. We hung out, had a good time. Went to the baseball game. It was a good time. It was fun. But where the convention center is, I won't say it's in the middle of nowhere because that's not true. That's not accurate. But comparatively to Chicago, in Chicago, you've got a convention center and you've got hotels all around it, restaurants all around it. Everything's walking distance close by. You can walk right out of the convention center and go to this or go to that, or trade nights can be all over the place, all around. It's more convenient. With Cleveland, you can still get the things, of course, but you got to get in the car. You got to move, or you got to get an Uber, or you got to do whatever. Well, that puts a damper because all of a sudden now you got a traffic jam heading out of there. If you go at different times, that's real tough. It's a great convention center from what I understand. It's a great convention center, but the location around it is not the best. The inside, very good. The outside, it's okay. But the trade-off here is that your experience inside while you're at the show is going to be very good comparatively. But at the same time, you're going to lose out on all the activity around the show that a Chicago has. And then you're compounding on top of that. There is a slowdown in some areas. You're compounding on top of that. You've made it harder. You're compounding on top of that, potentially less variety. Plus, to Bobby's point, competition in Fanatics Fan Fest. They're going to have a bunch of signers there, appearances and all that stuff. It's more of a fan fest kind of show, but there's going to be a little bit of representation of some dealers and stuff.
All will be a lot of dealers.
So if the National is rejecting me because I was a subletter in one of these things and I can't get it, maybe I'll go to New York instead. New York has a lot more things going on, and I can go there. Maybe I can set up a little booth do a little business, hang out in New York, go visit the Empire State Building, go do some stuff while I'm there. Yeah, just go hang out for a bit. The alternative is Cleveland, so it's like you're competing New York with Cleveland. I'm sorry, like this isn't a fair fight.
No, they do have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame though. Shame.
Well, look, I will vouch personally for Canton. I think the Football Hall of Fame is excellent. I thought it was very good, but it's a little out of your way. You got to kind of go over to Canton, Ohio, but very nice. It's very nice. I was very impressed with it. But if you make a trip out of it, Cleveland's actually pretty good for that. But what I'm saying is the convention center is not as convenient relative to some of these other things around it. Spoke with the dealer at Expo, sublet a booth, a friend who couldn't make the last show and didn't want to lose his prime location. And that does happen. That does happen.
Well,
the Expo has been better about that.
You would contact them about that. And you would
exactly.
Say, and then if you're up front, then you don't have any problems with them coming at you later.
I don't think, having dealt with Menzie enough, I think if you were very clear about that, I don't think it would present a problem. You just straight up, like, just have the conversation and just say, hey, look, situation, this is the situation. I can make sure the booth is filled. I can make sure the booth is occupied, and there will be stuff there.
Well, like I said, this time I'm not going to be setting up in the fall because it's going to be in a new venue, in the new one of the other locations.
Halls.
I don't know. It's building number 2 or 3. Yeah, because conflict of some scheduling. So I said, everybody's going to be everywhere. No one's going to be. This is what happened last time. Nobody knew where anybody was, even though it was kind of set up the same. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, that was one of the worst shows I ever had because people didn't even know where I was. They didn't, and they were just walking around. It was just very random. So I said, I'm going to stay away from that show. So just saying, and I'll come back to maybe I'll come back to the other one. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I can, do smaller shows or I don't know. I don't even know if I want to do shows. It's just fun. I like getting in early.
I hear this one Markham on Friday and Saturday. I hear this one Markham on Friday and Saturday. So
maybe I'll start doing the CGC show or the SG.
CSC. Yeah. There's a lot of the 3 acronyms with 2 C's. Yeah. T206 Kid says some of those OG deals probably had in their heads they were there for the lean years in 07, 08 and are making up for those years. Yeah. But that's what I say. Like in this situation, I understand from the new dealer's perspective that has been using the sublet as a way to get in because they can't access. Obviously, they're at the back of the line. They're on the waiting list. They don't have access to an actual booth. By the way, Cleveland is also going to have less booths than Chicago. Yeah. So that also hurts the situation because if you were at the back of the line already and you barely got a booth last time, you're not going to have one this time. So it just makes your life more complicated. So I understand all of that. So as I say, like I can see there's a lot of times it's a cliche. Oh, I can see both sides. No, in this case, I can't see both sides. I can legitimately see where both sides are on this. I also do think you're cutting off your nose and spite your face because if you toe the line too closely, you are losing out on some variety, which is going to hurt the foot traffic. It's going to hurt the convention goer. It's going to hurt the dealers. It's going to hurt everybody across the board.
I think we need Fanatics to do the show in Vegas.
Ooh, good old show in Vegas.
Honestly, you have so many stars that are around there anyways.
Well, listen, I guarantee, I can pretty much guarantee if Fanatics does a good show in Vegas, I guarantee there'll be a BIC and the Burrell and the Garage of Knowledge will go on the road.
Well, I'll be there.
Done. We'll leave Eric at home. He needs to man the bicycles.
Opposed to New York, because whatever. New York's really expensive.
It is expensive, yeah. But look, if you're gonna make a trip though, it is easier. Like there's a lot of stuff in New York that you can get into. Like there is a lot of options, but it is expensive. You're right.
3 words, baby. Las Vegas, baby.
Yes,
that's all I'm saying.
LVP.
It's like all of a sudden I go dig in one of the drawers, find the dusty thing. It's like I still got this key card that I can reactivate. Win, baby. Let's go. I'm back, bitches. It's gonna be great. Paul says the attic is a pretty angry individual for industrial espionage agent.
Eric.
Kamikaze says Big Ken needs a booth. Yeah, he was one of the ones that I heard on a podcast talk about that. Paul says having the trade night every night is going to hurt the natty as well. True. There is going to be a lot of trade nights there. I think they've made it into an event now. It's a nightly trade night, which might be a little excessive. It takes a little of the specialness away from it to formally have a trade night every night. That might be a little bit much. Yannick mentions scalping tickets. Some jurisdictions allow you to sell tickets, but you're not allowed to sell them for more than the face value of the tickets. Yeah, there are ways around it. Like there are rules. And you can play around with it and get your money back, and that's fine. Philly Joe says, it's Cleveland. It is indeed Cleveland. These are facts. Zach says Atlanta's like the heart of the hobby. Truth. When are they moving the national there? They should get on it right away. The last Atlanta national didn't do so well, but it's been a while, so whatever.
Yeah, I'm actually unaware on the city like why is the national going from all these odds location every year? Like it's like
Yannick, it's pretty much Chicago every other year. It's pretty much Chicago every other year.
What's that?
Yannick, the national is pretty much Chicago every other year now.
No, I know, but like they're moving away from what they've done in the past. I'm getting that, but like,
because Atlantic City's trash.
No, I'm just like, why when you trying to get like more like a central location, I guess, but I'm unaware too, like on
Chicago's good. Chicago's good.
Yeah,
Chicago's good because it does have the airport there. There is accessibility. There are a lot of people within driving distance of Chicago. And the key, like I mentioned, with Chicago, the convention center is surrounded by hotels. So all the people that book all the hotels are right there. So logistically, restaurants, hotels, the convention center, it's a really smart location. So Chicago should always be in the rotation because they've got a really good setup over there. Now, as for the other ones, Atlantic City was getting it all the time because they basically gave them the space for free. It was a sweetheart deal. But Atlantic City's trash. So I'm glad that they're going to try to do a thing in Cleveland. Like I said, Cleveland's got certain advantages, certain limitations. The convention center will be good, from what I understand.
Okay.
The rest of it is a little tricky. Cleveland isn't bad, though, because Cleveland is within driving distance. Like, say, for example, like when I went down with my buddies, we drove down. So it's not that bad. It's doable. So it's driving distance to a lot of folks. So a lot of those locations, that's what's hurt the whole idea of a West Coast national, because now Burbank has taken that role anyway. So if you're East Coast, it's tough to get all the way to the West Coast. Vegas is a different conversation because you can get a direct flight. That's a different conversation.
I mean, Vegas, I'm gonna be real here. Like anywhere pretty much in North America where you have a decent airport, you gotta fly to Vegas for almost always on the cheapest option. And I'm a guy who actually never been to Vegas, but I just get the whole commodity. Like it's all there. Not only it's all there, like you're in the place that is just made to have one of these shows. Like, that's where pretty much every other show goes there. Actually, that's maybe a question I have for our American friends there. Maybe like what's the best location / do you rather have a single location that it's every year there, for sure, like, it's like the Northern Star, like it's there all the time, or you'd like maybe a rotation, but what other location? Do you want the East Coast, West Coast, or I don't know, it's just a discussion.
Yeah, the West Coast guys are the ones that really would like to have one on the West Coast, and I understand it. Like I do get
technically, it wasn't the first, the biggest one. 91 was in Anaheim, right? So it was in California.
The old biggest one. The more recent biggest one was Chicago again, Chicago as well. But the old one in 91, that was Anaheim. Yeah. So Paul says here, most of the dealers are East Coast, and hotels, airport, and food make Chicago amazing. Yes, that is a big part of what makes Chicago work. So for me, if you want to do Chicago every other year, which is kind of what they're doing right now, I think that's smart. You could do Chicago, different location. Chicago, different location. Because Chicago, like I said, is a good one for a lot of folks. Just don't get the package Holiday Inn if you're a national dealer. Truth. That's right. T206 Kid says, location-wise, it's also 65% of the population of the U.S. lives east of the Mississippi River. Yeah, that's why a lot of those ones make a lot of sense. So Ham is good with one location. Chicago works. For a lot of folks, Chicago works great. Like, it just makes a lot of sense.
Like for us, Toronto.
Yeah, like I said, Yannick, if I wasn't permanently banned from the National, like if there weren't laws, like Chicago would be just fine. Now, if they went to Vegas, then I'd probably go. I probably wouldn't attend the National, though. By the way, just if you can put it in Vegas, I probably still wouldn't go to the National, but I'd be in Vegas. Different conversation.
I mean, I'm not intending of like it's not like on my list of like I need to go every year, but I'll definitely try to make it one day. Like it's if I'm aware I'm around like differently, I'll go check it out. But while I just go out of my way because it's a national, no. No way.
Yeah, no. The running joke has been like the man. So I'll read Ham's comment here in a second. Orlando also works. Yep. Fanatics in November is going to be a big show. Yeah, I think that one's going to be in Florida. I believe that's right. I know a bunch of people already making vacation plan with their family on top of the show. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
And that's going to be where? Sorry, in Orlando?
I believe it's going to be. I know it's somewhere in Florida. It might be Orlando. Like I'm not 100%, but I know it's somewhere in Florida.
You can have it in one of those like Disney places or whatever. They get everything you need.
Yeah,
you can actually go to your cards, and the kids and the wives are like playing in the.
As long as you have a big convention center space and stuff, food and stuff around, you're good. You're good. There's some certain spots that can do that. It says Carlos, your band got lifted. I don't think it got lifted. I forgot to tell you, you can go to the National and try to win Steve's giveaway. Nah. That way you can't complain about spending money. Ham, look, I'm gonna level with you. Like, Yannick, just between you, me, and the chat, just between you, all of us, they would literally have to pay me to go to the National. Literally pay me. And I don't mean like $10. I mean like probably good money.
Jet fly. Kenny Goldin's gonna go pick you up.
Yeah, Kenny's gonna have to bring the private. He's gonna have to bring the jet limo. He's gonna have to bring the jet limo and take me from point A to point B. And I want accommodations paid for. I want restaurant food paid for. I better not pay for a drink in the joint. Like I got a lot of demands, Yannick, and that doesn't even include the bag of cash I expect on my hotel bed. Big old bag of cash. Otherwise, no deal. No deal. Because I really don't need the National. I'm not pretending. Like, no, I don't need it. It's not even a money or a time thing anymore. It's like, you know what? Every year that goes by, I care less and less about the National. It does not appeal to me in the least. I'll pass. Thank you. Zach says, what if Carlos's band is just an excuse to not go? That'd be crazy. I know. That's scandalous, Zach. That sounds like a conspiracy theory. Everybody knows the ban is real. The ban is official. It's law. Can you believe, Yannick, that Zach would even suggest that my ban from the National is not legit?
It's made up.
That hurts my feelings. that I am wounded. As a man of peace, I could not even envision such deception. It was just terrible. Awful. But yes. So, like I said, I can see both sides from the thing with the subletting. I get it. I do. So I get it. And but I do think it may end up being short-sighted. It might benefit the Fanatics show. Some of those dealers might end up going to the Fanatics show, and if it works out well for them, maybe they won't come by the National anymore. It might become more of a multi-regional show thing. The National might lose a little importance. We'll see. Like it may be we may have already seen the peak. Look, we may have already seen the peak of the National. They got to be very careful the decisions they're making over the next couple of years, because it's very possible that they may have already peaked the show and it may be a decline from here. I'm not saying it's going to collapse, but I'm saying it may lose some prestige relative to Burbank, relative to some of these other regional shows, and it may become just another show in the midst of the rest of them. So just throwing it out there.
Think about it now. Let's say like you want to do one show, put all your money in, or you're kind of halfway in between that destination and destination, and now you're I'll spend my money on. I'll have twice the fun at two different shows instead of going on one and being in lineups for hours. And so, but that's the show. That's a sports car show anyway. Being in lineups, that's just part of the deal. So
that is part of the deal. Paul says here, Carlos, I'm banned. Carlos of the Nationals of Vegas, Viva Las Vegas, bitches. Facts. These are facts. In Vegas, laws don't apply. Bans don't apply. Yannick, Vegas doesn't even have laws. Like, laws are illegal. T206 Kid says, to be honest, I'll take the 50 table local car show over the National. Fair. That's fair. There could be some interest in that. By the way, Yannick, I don't know if you were ever on when I told the story. My favorite thing. I've mentioned before that I went to Vegas for my 30th birthday. That was the week I went. It was a lot of fun, by the way. A lot of fun. But anyway, one of my favorite things. So you walk down the strip, and when you're walking down the Vegas Strip, there's a lot of shenanigans going on, obviously. And obviously you can drink. You can go down the strip with your drink in your hand, drinking all the way up, walking up and down the street. Now, obviously that creates quite the atmosphere with a lot of craziness going on. And the police officers they're around. They're keeping an eye on things, making sure things are cool. But what I thought was funny is when we were walking during one of the walks down the strip in the evening, we saw a situation where somebody was like sitting down, like basically sat down on the side, and the police officer was there, and he was basically giving a drunk guy a standing 8 count. Not like specific, but it's like in boxing. It's like a standing 8 count. He's giving him to the count to get up and walk away. And if he cannot get up and walk away by the end of the count, he goes in the paddy wagon. So
like what Eric Mom does to him
all the time. So what happened is the guy gave him a standing 8 count. The guy could not meet the bell. He could not beat the count, Yannick. He went in the paddy wagon. It was fantastic. I literally sat there and watched.
So that's the drunk meter, basically.
He basically, I watched the guy give him the whole count. He gave him a whole.
Don't get up by 8. You're too drunk.
But Yannick, you cannot say the man did not give him he gave him a chance.
Fair warning.
If the guy had been able to crawl away, walk away, anything, he would have been able to go scot-free of his own volition. Nope.
The guy was trying to be fair.
He tried. Carlos, what if they copy your spot on the influencer main stage roundtable? Not good enough. Not good enough, Dr. Exclusive. I need that sweet cash prize. I got a lot of demands, man. If I'm going to lower myself to a piddling little event like the National,
right?
Like I've been to the Expo. I've been to the big leagues. You want me to go to a minor league stadium? You're going to have to pony up for that, I'm afraid. I can't lower myself to that.
Pony up.
Look, you know how I know it's minor leagues? They've had that show in Atlantic City.
Ooh, nobody's going there.
Like, you want to call that a big show if you can house it in Atlantic City?
Are they still going back one more time? Or they're done?
I think Atlantic City's out of the rotation for now, unless they can re-sweeten the pot even more. So I don't know.
I think the board of directors got a little hell for that one.
Look, Atlantic City has no business being look, I was half joking there. Atlantic City had no business being part of any show that considers themselves legitimate. Atlantic City's trash. Move on.
Pretty much, yeah.
So Ham says, I usually don't have a problem getting a vendor badge, but I don't know if it's going to be possible this year. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it depends on how strict they're being. But what I'm hearing, what it sounds like is, it looks like they're clamping down on it and really, really holding to that line. Like I said, this year, you might get away with it. But if you drive away enough people, again, if they go somewhere else and have some success and they're able to have a good show somewhere else around the same time, maybe they don't try to go to the National next year. You'll be back in Chicago, which obviously is a better venue.
Yeah.
But if you had a really bad experience this time and especially you got the rug pulled out from under you late. Remember, the National is at the end of July. We're in the middle of June. This whole conversation is happening right now. That's not that far away. Like, it's not. It's a little over a month and a half. Like, that's not to suddenly have to completely shift your plans. How long in advance, Bobby, did you have to book your hotel and all these other things? Imagine you actually had planned it, and now you got the rug pulled out from under you. Yeah, and now you got the rug pulled out.
Right?
Yeah. There are some, but like the inventory gets consumed quickly, so the price went up. So what if you don't have refundable tickets or refundable bookings?
You'd call Yannick and say, we're sleeping in your van. And, let's go.
It's a rough time. Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know about that one. That's a bit rough.
Yep.
Tough one. Yeah. They literally offered dealers $1,000 cash, and the dealers were like, nah. Yeah. That was Atlantic City. Their pitch was offering cash. They literally offered a bribe.
Really?
Yeah. They offered a bribe.
They
were trying to get in the vote. They bribed.
I'll take bribe.
And they still couldn't win the vote. even with a bribe, it wasn't good enough.
No. People, they're not happy going there. So, I understand the safety is a big issue, especially with all the sports cars and stuff around.
Yeah,
so
the thing with Atlantic City was that the convention center itself was fine, but everything else around it, left, right, and center, in every direction, like you can't go out and walk around. Like, it's not a good place. It's not a good scene.
Sleep under your table or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not good.
Bring an air mattress.
Yeah. So here, Zach says, look to the website. The Nationals in Chicago in 25, 26, and 27. Yeah, it looks like they're basically sticking to it. It's a safe place. Chicago's a safe play for them. Like, it really is.
The highest murder state, but yeah, safe place.
Compared to Atlantic City, it's still fine. Trust me. And they're not even in Chicago. They're in Rosemont, Bobby. It's like it doesn't have the same problem.
I understand. It's all districts.
It's in the suburbs. They're okay. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been in Chicago many years and they haven't had minimal incident. It hasn't been that big an issue.
Yeah, it's like Toronto and Guelph.
Ooh, Eric's favorite place, the most magical place on earth.
So it was.
Yes, we
Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, Guelph. Yeah, that's like that place is real. Yeah, the shop does attend lots of big shows. I
don't see you at the expo.
The vice president, who's like 22 or 23 years old, flies to Dallas, flies to Florida, has been to Vegas, has been to California for shows, goes to the national. So yeah,
be the vice president.
So I don't think he is set up at the national. I think he goes and tries to buy a lot of stuff for the shop, and make deals and things like that. But he has flown all over the country to go to some of the bigger shows and do business and get continue to get our the name of the shop out there, because there was a time years ago where
it's been around for 35 years. How do you need to get your name out there?
Well, there's been a lull in the last 10 or so that, Phil used to travel the country and Canada and go to all these things and set up and make deals and the whole thing. He hasn't done that. He's older. He's 67 years old. It's like getting on an airplane, once a month and traveling the country isn't exciting anymore. So, Corey's now taking that over because he's 23 years old.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that have never heard of Sports World, where 20 years ago, everyone heard of Sports World all over, 2 countries.
Yeah.
So
I guess.
Got to try to get the when I walked around Toronto with the shop's hat on, I had tons of people stopping me, but it was all older guys.
Of course.
They were all excited to see the hat and the shop being represented up there again. It's the first time in a long time. But young people have no idea.
Do you guys even have a website? Like, I should even look.
We did. Listen, we
did.
And I think
the problem is they put Eric in charge of the website, and Eric's HTML skills are circa 1995. There's an under construction GIF.
Yeah.
From 1995 still on the site.
I've been hearing for a year that they have someone working on it. Like, they've paid some kid, some college tech kid who does this stuff, to redo it because it was really outdated. It hadn't been redone and fixed and everything for a long time. And for the last year, I keep hearing that it's being worked on. But I think there is a website you can go to, but it's abandoned, right? I would say
it's under construction.
Yeah, but it's been like that for a year, so I don't know when they're going to get on this.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know when they're going to get on this.
And it's a DOS one too.
That's the entire website. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all there is. It's just the under construction GIF going. The under construction GIF is doing a yeoman's work.
That's Eric doubling his yard right there.
That's the DOS days.
Years ago, it was pretty active and it was updated, and someone worked on it all the time, and it just got away from ownership, and just other means like Facebook and IG and things like that became more important. And
I believe that's so. I think Facebook is a great representative. I see his post all the time, but he should be showing videos of his place and what's coming, who's coming. Well, he does say who's coming, but he doesn't really show his shop specifically. Display cases, like, you should show your stuff. Like, I was telling that, same thing to Carlos about
it's AMG. A little bit better on IG, but only when I get on people about it.
Instagram is not good for that. Facebook is good for that. He's on Facebook a lot. I see his posts all the time. Unfortunately, some of them are interesting.
Yeah. I'm not
politically interesting, let's just say.
I'm not here to talk about that and what he does What he does is what he does.
So what you're saying, Eric, is you're not here to talk about the past, the present, and potentially the future.
I'm not here to talk about the past. I want to look forward to the future.
Good luck.
I don't have Facebook. I know what's on there. I don't have Facebook, and I don't post anything on anybody's Facebook. Or
you don't need to have Facebook. You just have to be on it. It's like a mall, and there's all these different stores. Some you have to join a membership to get in, and it's free.
I don't have it. I don't have it.
And it's so simple. It's unbelievable.
No, I don't have the Facebook. I don't have the TikToks.
TikTok's different.
I
TikTok's
just have
like IG.
all I have is the IG. That's all I have.
Yeah. Well,
And the
you got to
Strava.
branch out. Now you know why.
Listen, Eric, I bet if
know
you
why
went
that
on
gift
Facebook,
is there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like you're missing out on
Eric in that gift.
Listen, I'll have you know. I bet you, Eric, if you went over to Facebook, you'd probably be able to find like the Emmanuel in Space, support group, and you'd be able to talk to your people.
Good.
You'd be able to talk to your people.
Thing is, I don't want to be on Facebook because I don't want people from 30 years ago to find me. Because that's what Facebook started off being. Like all of a sudden, everybody from your past finds you and wants to befriend you and talk to you, and it's like, I don't want to talk to you people. Leave me alone.
You can put a different icon and use your middle name and as your last name or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have never.
People hide themselves there all the time, but then you can go in and just do your own thing, and nobody will bother you.
It's like I didn't like you 30 years ago. I still don't. Don't bother.
They can't do that on Instagram.
No, because nobody cares or knows what Santa Sindor is.
And well, you can do that on Instagram too. I mean, Facebook.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I still just have never done it.
Anyways,
look, I just think Sports World would really do well if they would just put a little extra effort into their website. I feel like we can do better than this, Eric. Like you've got the whole Hello World, like this. That's fine. It's a start, but maybe let's get some pictures in there.
Are you just joking, or is that really it?
This is just a Hello World picture, Eric.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea. That was the old base. Like if you just started a website, it was like Hello World. That was the old
classic. I've never started a website before, so I don't know.
That is what you saw a lot of circa 1994.
Okay.
I know because I was there.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw a lot of that in 1994. They were
too hard to do pictures then.
It was very annoying. And by the way, you couldn't adjust the pictures. They were like it was all like a straight line. Text, picture, text, picture. It was very clunky. And then all of a sudden we had frames, and it was like, oh my god, frames!
Yeah, I've never
the
built
thing here,
a
the thing here, and the thing here. I was there in those times, Eric. I remember them well.
You were a website builder.
I did in the early mid 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, I never did it.
I like playing around with that because it was all new. And later on, there were automated ways of doing all the stuff anyway. It got way easier really quickly. But at that time, you actually had to put in the HTML coding yourself. You had to actually punch it in and if it didn't turn out right, all right, where did I go wrong? Hold on, let me take a look and see what I did here.
I remember everybody saying when the internet first came and websites and people started having personal computers and things. This isn't gonna last.
That was in my house. That was my younger brother.
Yeah,
who now is on the internet all the time. And I do like to remind him from time to time, I remember someone said the internet wasn't going to be a thing. Mr. On the internet right now as we speak.
There's only like 10 people on it, a bunch of like MIT kids like talking about math. It's like and playing chess. It's like this isn't going to last.
I was very fortunate where I was is that we had so I don't know if any of these ring a bell, Bobby, but we had we were on the bulletin boards like in 93. So they had a couple of those going on. There's CompuServe, there was a couple other providers, but then we got on iStar in 1994. So it's dial-up internet, proper, World Wide Web internet, not bulletin board, but like internet. Yep. So that's in 94. And then by 99 we had broadband. So we were pretty early on a couple of those things. And broadband obviously was the game changer because you're not on the dial-up modem with the annoying noise and the whole 9 yards. Yeah. So when you get broadband, then it's on and you've actually got a proper modem that is actually staying on and it's not interfering with your phone line and you're not having to deal with all the nonsense. Much better. Much better.
Yep.
My first computer cost me $3,000. And that was a lot.
What kind was it? What kind was it? Do you remember?
91.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere. And I bought these Yamaha speakers, and I paid another like $800 for those, and just went to town. And then you realized your computer only lasted a few years, and then hey, upgrade. I went, man.
The first computer that I had was 89, and it was priced like that. It was a Tandy. So that was the one that we were using at that time. So it was like the Radio Shack brand. It was Tandy, and it was a nice computer for what it was. It could do a couple of things, but like by today's standards, it's a glorified calculator. Like today's standards,
basically,
yeah. Like it's not impressive. I appreciate the Guild of Thornton though. I like that. Good evening, Stu. Hi guys. In 1995, my boss said we'd be wearing computers on our wrists in 10 years. Well, not exactly wearing our phones on our wrists, but close. See, that's a little bit more forward thinking. We did go closer to that direction. By 2007, we had the iPhone, so we headed in that direction. So that was closer to being correct than because to be fair,
thank you.
In 1994, Eric is right. The amount of options were pretty limited. There wasn't a lot going on. It was slow because things were just ramping up. 94 was pretty quiet. 95, it did start to ramp up because a couple of sites started getting going, a little traction going. By 96 and 97, we're really cooking a little bit because by 95 and 96, I think eBay was called Auction Web. And by 96, I think it had rebranded to eBay. So by that point, it was eBay. So you got that going on. You've got stuff going on. Facebook is still years away. It's coming, but not yet. You're still working out the web browser situation, and you're still working out the search engine situation because we're still not completely settled on all that. We had web crawler, we had what's it called, Yahoo. We had a couple of these other ones, and Yahoo was search engine ish, but it was just categories, and you'd go down and click on these options and go there. Still very basic, very basic. Yeah. Eric said was a donkey. You had to walk around the center post to get enough speed to create momentum for the connection. Ham knows.
It wasn't easy back then, Mike. It wasn't easy. It was tough. And the
what I like though about it, Bobby, is that when I do think back though to 94. Now the problem is for the youths, the problem is 94 is now 30 years ago, which is nuts. Like I've actually had internet for 30 years, which blows my mind. Which is crazy. But the thing is that the acceleration was so fast in those early years. It changed so quickly. We moved from one thing to another thing, and the adjustments were quick. Alta Vista, yes. Alta Vista was a good one. I used web crawler. Web crawler was one that I used a fair bit. Alta Vista was a good one, though, as well. And then we were changing browsers. Netscape ruled the roost for a while there. And then eventually it lost ground, and it started becoming other ones. Internet Explorer became a big one, and then Chrome eventually showed up. But that was later. It took time.
Yeah, I just started getting the AOL discs.
The AOL was big, yeah. That was the big
I tried it really briefly, but never really got into AOL.
It was more of an American thing, AOL, opposed to Canada.
But we did have a lot of, speaking of the old before the coaster makers, supplies with coasters. Well, we had so many discs, you could have used them as coasters. We were getting them everywhere. They were getting thrown at you.
100 coasters.
50 hours.
I got some of the coasters.
Hockey puck coasters. Look at you.
Oh, nice.
I've never seen this before. It's a new discovery for me. So,
is that actually 4 coasters in total? Is that 4?
No,
just
there's
4,
there's 2 in each.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it says you can at the bottom. It says you can get them in all one team, assorted, whatever. So, it's 2 coasters each. I've never seen them before, and then I got an unopened package. So, and it's 1970, 71 because of the teams that are listed on there exactly, and that Leaf logo is definitely 70, 71.
Okay.
It would be prior to, but we have all the other expansion teams. We have Buffalo and Vancouver who came in 71 too. So 71 too. Nice. 70, 71. So we'll probably pick another year, maybe 71 too. Yeah. Because nice. I don't think, even though they came in that year, they didn't. It's not like you would have their logos and everything ready to go unless you released it later in the season. So anyway, interesting stuff. Always something new. And I've been doing this how long? Like honestly. And I've never seen like a loose one. Like I would see that. I would notice and go, hey, what is that?
No, because if you never seen it, are you going to sell it or are you going to keep it?
I don't keep anything. I scan it and then it's gone. It's already been sold. It was sold before I got it. How's that? Eric, it was a lot of money I paid for it. And I had to pay American too, which sucked. Didn't seem bad at $2.99, but then you go, that's American. It's like $400. Anyways,
Wow,
for Canadians, so this is how it becomes difficult. $2.99 says, yeah, and then you go, plus shipping.
Well, actually, so this does lead me. So I'll finish the nostalgia train here in a moment, but but this does lead me to kind of a good general topic thought that I thought would be worth broaching, since I was thinking about it the other day when I was listening to some content as well, and I'll touch on here in a minute since Bobby brings it up and it reminds me. CC says 1994 tech was similar to the grading in the early 90s. Grading cars will go nowhere, and many collectors. Yeah, that was a lot of those things that aren't going to go anywhere. Some of them do, which makes it. Some of them don't, but some of them do. And then afterwards, like, oh, yep, it was a thing. I sell my CD with 33 hours of AOL if anyone needs. Live the dream.
Yeah, excellent.
I think the greatest thing for me was the emailing.
Yeah,
and that was really good for business, because I was the corporate sales at that time, and emailing somebody was great. And all these businesses, because I was in corporate, they would have computers, so I could send. I wouldn't have to type up, print a proposal. I could just email it to them. So easy. And that made my business so much easier. You didn't have to do so much road work.
But it was funny, though, kind of to your point, though. What's funny is that it reminds me, the advantage of a lot of this stuff is that because I was on the train early with a lot of this stuff, I was able to take advantage of certain things. Email, to your point, was really handy. Like, it was very good. What's funny is that our old email is actually at Simpatico, which was what Bell purchased. Yeah. Well, what's funny is our Simpatico email still works. I still have access to it. I can still get into it. Like, I actually went into it the other day and I was like, 10,000 emails. Oh, this is all bullshit. This is garbage. All of it. Like, I need to clean this out. This is going to take me a while.
I had the
delete
best
everything.
Email. I had Coffee Man, which was perfect because I was selling corporate coffee. So I had Coffee Man at simpatico.ca, and I lost that anyways.
No, I still got it. I still got the original. So the original email that we had from Simpatico, it's because what happened is they converted to Bell.
Simpatico over to what?
Bell. Bell's the one who bought them.
So so it still supports it.
Yeah. Yep. It's web based. Now I think you can still download it as well, but I haven't tried. But I can go to the web client and I can open it up, and that email address still works. It's 100% active. I think
the biggest problem with the internet going through those years with email was the change of formats. When you had to use a new browser or you had to use a new email, you couldn't import. Unless it was identical, it would just never import. So you couldn't carry your own messages through. Now, I kept all the messages on CD, but you need an old program to play things up, and it's a pain in the ass. So just whatever.
Yep. So so that was one that again still works to this day from the 90s, which is hilarious. But the other one was, so people got into getting Hotmail addresses, so they'd get their Hotmail address. But what a lot of people don't know or don't remember is that in the early days, because Hotmail was bought by Microsoft, you could actually get, so it was a Hotmail email, but you could get at msn.com. And it was still the free email, but it was at MSN. So obviously it was much shorter, more streamlined.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Simpatico was a big word that a lot of people got wrong.
Exactly. So all right, sounds good, Yannick. Have yourself a good night. We'll chat.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
Take care.
Because I was able to get in early in the old days, speaking of the OG, like the national thing, I was able to get the grandfather at MSN. You can't get MSN.com as a Hotmail thing anymore. You got to be on you got to actually have MSN as their, go directly through them and actually pay for it. Gotcha. Mine is a Hotmail address. It's a Hotmail address at MSN.com though. So it was more streamlined. It actually was more professional because in my early days when I was getting work, I would actually use my email address. I didn't have some weird, crazy name like, Bougie Eric loves lemon 69. Like, I didn't have that kind of my email was straight up. It was very straightforward at Amazon.com. So it was completely usable for anything that I needed work-wise. It was fine. But I still have that email address to this day.
Personal email now. I'm going to get it.
Everybody's got to send emails, Eric. It's important. They got to do it. So I appreciate that I still have that OG email from that one, and the Simpatico one still works, even though I don't use it anymore. It doesn't work for me. But it's kind of a weird trip down memory lane. Like, oh my God, we still got this email? Huh? It's still the OG one. It's still the original. Technology makes me feel old. How far we come in the last, say, 25 years and saying, yeah. And it only accelerates. Like, it goes faster and faster and faster. So, like I said, we can talk about that 1994. I showed you those images just because it would be fun. But those silly little GIFs and everything. And then it accelerated. And when Bobby was mentioning the email, I was trying to think back what the email program was that I used. Eudora was the name of it. It was late 90s Eudora and early 2000s. That was one that they did. I think it was Qualcomm had them. And Eudora was one email client that you could do. It was free. You could download it. But I remember having versions of it and downloading the emails and watching the little scrolls through.
Do you know how long it took to do downloads? Like, oh my God.
It took forever. Yeah, I remember.
We'll go out.
You hit the button.
Come back in a couple hours and it'll be fine.
Well, so not for email, but you would have, so say you were going to do a download, you would have programs that could pause the download because when you were doing the dial-up, you might need the phone line. So you'd be like, oh, I need the phone line. Hold on. I got a program. I can actually pause the download. Hold on, let me pause it. All right. When you're ready, let me know so I can get back on and continue.
You don't want to screw it up because it already is 2 hours in, right?
We've already committed. We've already committed an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But between that, so think 1994, and then by 07, we have the iPhone. And that brings in the smartphone. And as you get into the smartphone, things accelerate again, even quicker. And we accelerate all the way through to the point that's like, pocket computer. It does more stuff than the old machine did by a factor of 100.
Mm-hmm.
You can still use Columbia. You can still owe Columbia House $2,250 for those CDs with interest.
That's
Eric
right.
owes at least 5 figures to Columbia House.
Oh, I owe
those free CDs add up.
Yep. Oh, well, you can get like 30 for a penny.
Yeah. The first 30. And then after that, they got you
$1,000 each.
It just went up from there.
And let me tell you, their shipping and handling was insane. So as a young kid, I was like, hey, I can afford this. And
so they always say you can have that as long as you pay extra or separate shipping and handling. They still do that today. It's like they make money on that.
And
they have bulk rate with the post office.
Right, which I didn't understand any of this. I was like in 8th grade. It's like I knew I had, that $5 I needed for all this stuff. Well, it showed up COD, and it ended up costing more like $40 with the shipping and handling. And my parents weren't gonna pick that up. They're like, I guess you better go crack open a piggy bank because, ye old internet and tech talk, yeah.
That's the most accurate. This segment can be most accurately described as such.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what it is. The only reason I was mentioning it, Bobby, is that what's funny is thinking about it. It's like this is all within my lifetime. It's all not only within my lifetime. It was within kind of my formative years that I got to see all that. I got to see it all played out. I like the fact that I was able to remember pre-internet, but then I was also able to remember nascent commercial internet. And still be young when I'm taking advantage of it and looking and exploring it and doing all that, and then kind of grow with it. But now it's like, 30 years on, 30 years is just the band is the broadband version. That not even my original internet is 30 years, but then broadband's 25. I've had broadband for 25. It's a lifetime.
And it's so surprising the people in the hobby, all the OGs and OGs, they weren't even close to being there.
Yeah. And then my eBay account, that's why I shared that a couple of weeks back. My eBay account was 98. So they were like, hey, congratulations, your eBay account. Is like, oh, please don't remind me it's 26 years.
It's been a long time.
Don't remind me. Yeah, I know.
And PayPal, too. I've been with them so long.
Exactly.
And it's good because I had to call them on something and then just said, okay, no problem. You've been with us 20-something years. That's fine. It's like, okay. And no, I have very little things that I ever did. So, and that's the same thing with eBay. So, it does have that privilege a little bit because they take your word for it because you've been with them 20 years. So the 20 years went by real fast, I'll tell you. 2020.
It did, yeah. Wow. Some of the old Columbia House cassettes are worth real money these days. A lot of things.
No, sorry. You know who's picking them up right now cheap? Brandon.
Yeah.
Eric, the ones that you got rid of, and he's selling them for $1 each.
Eric holds out for the 8-tracks. He wants the high. He wants the high fidelity.
Yeah.
He wants the high fidelity.
I grew up with those.
My 3rd generation sales on Copsy would be 30 cards for a penny. There you go. It happens. It's tough.
Good old days.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's what I say. Sometimes I'll take a moment and be like, "Wait, how old is this account?"
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh no!
Why? What? Exactly. Yeah.
What happened? Oh my goodness! I remember selling a card on eBay back in 2004. Someone sent me a check for $5.49, and the damn thing bounced. I was a 16-year-old and thought that it was comical to check for $5.49 bounce. Yeah.
It's
I
tough.
remember
a lot of money
getting. Apparently, it was. Look, I remember for smaller items, I remember them mailing me change. They taped it. They taped it to like a piece of cardboard. They taped the change. I'm saying, like, guys. So because what they do, they take a couple bills. They pay me in US dollars. So it's like the card was like $8 or something, $8.50 or $8.65 or something. So what they would do is they take $8 in bills, put it in the envelope, and then tape the change to a piece of cardboard and mail me that. I'm like, okay then.
We used to do that early in eBay too. And then there was this other service. What was that service where you could purchase a US money order? I forget the name of the company. That you would have to purchase a money order to pay them in the US, because a lot of people didn't have, PayPal at that time. So
I was able to get it at the post office. You had to get the right color because there were two colors. There was one that was valid and one that was not. Yeah, you had to get the right color one. If you did not do that, it would work. So you had to get the correct version.
Some people didn't take them because of the counterfeiting, right? So
yeah, as long as you got the right one, it was fine.
So and you'd have to wait a long time, because then you'd have to mail that out. They'd have to get it. Then they'd have to wait to clear it. And then it was like, so I used this money order through the States. So I would pay them with PayPal, and I just wish I remember the name of it. Is I forget, but they would get the money like almost right away, 2-3 days, and then it was like processed. So it was really good. And then we didn't have any border problems at that time. Like honestly, you can whatever. It's just everything came.
There was a border?
There was a border, yeah.
There was one guy who was like, hey, behave yourselves. Be good. Don't go crazy out there. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Zach says, that's what I'm saying when I talk to the youth at my church. The stuff they don't remember living without is crazy. They don't not having social media. Yeah, right now, if you're in your 20s, you don't remember a lot of things that change it. Bob Jackson, good evening. 1998, how many years ago? Well, I think I said 26. I'm hoping I said 26, but that's what I meant. 26.
Remember, I'm 20 in 84. God damn. I knew I should have bought more Eismans.
Hey, listen, it could be worse. Carlos Sr. was born in 54. So he remembers the 60s very well. He spent a lot of time going to the movie theaters, and there's a lot of crappy 60s movies that he watched in the theaters.
So your dad's got 10 years on me. So
Yep. So he's got another decade of stuff that he's seen, and he's seen a lot of interesting things. Interesting things in that extra time. He was old enough to watch the Leafs win the Stanley Cup, even though he didn't. He was in Panama. But he could have. I did see. He would have been 13. He would have been 13 when they won the Cup.
Yeah. Did you say you wanted some Eisenmans? I could sell you some.
We want O-Pee-Chee, not the clear, nice cut tops.
All right, these are O-Pee-Chees.
Okay, that's good. You only need one tops anyways, because the tops are like a dime a dozen. They're just, those packs just never went over well, and I never understood why they didn't issue cards in 82 and 83 tops, because I think they went through the sticker thing, and then they did the cello. I don't know if they're cello plastic, whatever kind of packs. They're very different. And then
were they like they were like the Michigan test packs or whatever? They changed the style. They did it more like in a modern style.
Yeah, it was one of those packs, but it was made of plastic.
Yeah, they changed the material. Right? Yeah, they changed the material.
It wasn't a foil or anything like that. But anyways, they did that, and they also put gum that was wrapped with a cartoon on it, like a stick in each one. Just very interesting year. But a lot of people said that they wrapped the gum because somebody got sick from the gum, and I went, all right, whatever. Still haven't figured out exactly why they went with that. I guess it was a test market thing, but no other sport did that at that time.
Yeah,
very interesting.
I think it was an experiment above all. Also, that's a big one.
Yeah, but using hockey, they usually use basketball. Oh, basketball they didn't have there, right?
Yeah, there wasn't much going on in the 80s. Yeah, so that would have been.
Well, tops would mimic hockey and basketball very much so, where football and baseball would get different issues, where hockey and
because for basketball they did 81 and then they paused until like the late 80s. Yeah, it was later that they turned it back on. You could have invested in Ryan Leaf and JD Drew. True. That is true. 1998. Yeah. T206 said, if you notice today, kids under 25 don't look at you when they talk to you. Phones have destroyed us. I don't know if I want them to look at me.
Pretty much.
You're like,
yeah.
Hey, you know how earlier we were talking about, the Celtics and the Panthers could both sweep. And I said, I don't think the Celtics are going to win tonight.
Yeah.
The score right now is Boston 42, Dallas 75.
Oh.
So Dallas decided to wake up this time, huh?
Yeah.
How many points does Luka have then? I assume then Luka went off for some points. Hold on. Let's see if I can find the.
I don't have the box score, but I just didn't see. I didn't see Kyrie and Luka just laying down and saying, "Okay, come win the title in our building,"
Let's see.
and get swept. I think they're going to go back to Boston and win and celebrate in Boston. But this was a must game for Dallas. That they're fighting for every single ball. If you look at the rebounds, I saw a statistic a little while ago.
Yeah, it's 31. It's 31 to 16 right now. I got it in front of me.
For rebounds.
Yeah, in this game.
Yeah, I mean that's and second chance points, and I mean it's just ridiculous. The Celtics.
That's why I watched just WNBA and Caitlin Clark. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. Because the WNBA is extremely exciting.
Now it is.
I was gonna say, listen, the people the people are tuning in for the Caitlin Clark games, but
you got it.
She's having her own issues with the league and some of the stuff going on. So here it is. I've got Doncic has 27 points.
Yeah.
Kyrie's 11. So it looks like they balanced out the scoring a little bit for Dallas. It doesn't look like anybody else is even double digits. So it looks like they spread it out.
But,
okay, interesting.
7:28 in the third. I mean, it'd have to be a hell of a comeback, and Dallas would have to completely fall apart. So I think I might, because it doesn't happen very often, as we know. I might be right about this one.
Ooh,
and that Doncic's card needs to really come back too.
This one.
Yep, maybe. NBA wasn't allowing a sweep. Rigged. Hard to sweep in the NBA Finals. Even the Sonics won 2 against the 96 Bulls. Yeah, sure. Maybe Dallas can pull off a 3-0 defeat. Pull a reverse Red Sox versus Yankees.
There you go.
You never know. You never know. In the NBA, it's actually never happened. In the NBA, the 3-0 has never actually occurred. No one's ever been able to come all the way back. So that's been they pretty much, because of the league very much, if you have like the superstar or the best player or whatever the case may be, usually you lock it down and that's it. Especially once you get up 3-0. 3-0 is very difficult. Not impossible. But in the other side of it, for the NHL and the Stanley Cup final, the last time it happened was in the 40s. It was a Leafs team in the 40s. So it's not like it happens all the time in hockey either. It is possible, but again, you've made it about as difficult as you can. You put yourself in a really bad position.
It's so hard playing catch up. You might win one, you might win two. To win the third, and even to win the fourth is like...
You're giving yourself no margin for error because you can't have a bad game then. You've got to be perfect. 4 straight games, you have to execute brilliantly.
You hopefully used up your bad games in the last 3 losses. So go for it.
Works out. Maybe Boston can pull off. Yeah, so I read this one here. So Kamikaze is saying LeBron, 1,300 10-point games in a row. Caitlin Clark, 0 straight. LeBron wouldn't let them not pass him the ball. Look, I'm not gonna try to analyze the WNBA, but I do know that the way that they've played a lot of it, number one, their team is bad, and number two, I've watched a couple of highlights and I'm like, what they're doing is very stupid. Like it's like they're not trying. Let's put it this way: there are elements of what they've been doing that it's like they're basically trying to freeze out Caitlin Clark stuff. It's like she's a rookie. So she's going to have some better games, some worse games. Oh, yeah. But if your team is actively working against you and the other team is actively working against you, it's like, I'm sorry, you're not getting points.
Nope.
So at that point, don't even worry about it. You may as well go to Big 3 and see if Ice Cube's offer for $5 million to play in Big 3 is still on. Go play over there. You may as well. And then WNBA can go back to just Eric watching it.
That's it.
Intently. It'll be just him.
So they're hurting themselves, but they think they're getting in the limelight, and they're really not. So it's unfortunate. But what are you gonna do?
It's at that point, I'm sorry, if you're gonna rig something, you should be rigging it in her favor because you're getting butts in the seats, you're getting eyeballs on the. Heaven forbid you get eyeballs on the product. Heaven forbid.
Right.
Well, the funny part is that they think they're getting eyeballs on them for doing what they're doing to Caitlyn, and it's really kind of reversing on them a little bit. So,
yeah. All one has to do, like, there are folks that ran the numbers. All they got to do is look at Indiana goes on the road, the attendance goes up.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And then there's other ones play against somebody else, attendance is down. It's like, this is really easy math. It's not very complex. It's like,
when the Leafs go on the road, nobody cares.
Yeah. I'm on record many times saying that my favorite sport is actually a woman's sport. So I have nothing against women athletes. I prefer to watch women's mountain biking more than anything else. I don't mind women's hockey. I wish they'd let.
Oh, how magnanimous of you!
No, hold on. It isn't that the women are playing; it's that they have dumbed the women's hockey down and won't let the women play with the same rules as the men.
What rules are not allowed?
Well, there's certain.
Forget it.
No, I forget.
If you have to think about it, it's not that impactful.
Because the season's over. But no, I remember watching and hearing several times that some of the rules in the PWL, Professional Women's Hockey League, PWHL, are different than, say, the NHL.
PWCC's gone. Anyways.
Okay. So my whole point is I am for women's sports. I enjoy watching them. I love women's tennis. There is nothing to watch in women's basketball. The WNBA is simply a poor product. It is horrible to watch. Just downright horrible.
It's highlights, man.
There are no highlights. It's horrible.
Okay.
Wow. Anyway, CC says, when the Oilers get swept, do you think McDavid curves a significant job about it? Not significantly, but they will take a hit. They're going to take a hit.
He's got to go somewhere else. He's got to get away from Edmonton.
That's going to be the narrative that's going to be coming out of this one.
You know what I really noticed, because I was watching a bit of the games there, and they play very much like the Leafs. They're not a team. Like, Florida plays like a team, honestly. Not a lot of great superstars, but they
going
play
into
like
it,
a team. They pass. But they, I was watching Edmonton, and they go, okay, we'll give it to the defenseman. You see how they had that little time left in the game, and they took it back around the net. The guy chased him. It's like, dude, just pass up, go. And they just didn't. And the clock is ticking with 40 seconds left or a minute left or whatever it was. And I'm going, what are you guys doing? That's a Leaf thing. I'm rooting for the Leafs again. Holy crap. I think someone kidnapped Edmonton and put the Leafs in there. Anyways, because we have the Matthew, they have the McDavid. It's almost parallel, but the style of play, it's like not a team. And a lot of individuals doing what they do. And McDavid's a great player. Matthew's a great scorer. Same kind of deal. But other than that, they're not. And Florida goes tic-tac-toe, beautiful.
Yeah, well, what I was saying is going into it, and I always prefaced it by saying, like, hey, Dallas fans. So I'm very salty that Edmonton advanced. But with that said, the Flo Rida team, down with Florida man, they are the most complete test that Edmonton had faced. Like top as a team, top to bottom. Bobrovsky is playing extremely well. They can play team defense. They can score in waves. They can attack you in waves. They can be physical. So they've got all the components that, whatever matchup you present, they've got an answer. They've got something they can throw back at you. So that makes it very challenging. So if you're at Edmonton, you cannot afford to make mistakes because Florida will punish you.
Yes.
So that makes them very dangerous. And they were in the Stanley Cup final last year. So they have the experience of going through the whole gauntlet already.
Yeah.
So they've been tested. So they've already had that opportunity, and they learned some lessons. They made mistakes last time that they're not going to make this time. So they've learned something.
But you only stay in the finals so many times, so many years before something happens. So maybe McDavid will get traded. I don't know. Maybe
history though. Like I think I mentioned it. I don't remember if I mentioned the podcast. History is full of teams that went to the finals and lost, and then used that opportunity to learn something. And then came back the following attempt and did better. Mm-hmm. Even Edmonton, when they got their dynasty, they lost to the Islanders dynasty. Mm-hmm. But once the Islanders started to run out of gas, Edmonton learned a lesson, and they went and faced them again, and they were able to defeat them the following time. So, and then when Edmonton had its dynasty going, They had some teams that they lost to, and some of those teams learned a lesson. So like a lot of there's been a history. When Crosby got to the Stanley Cup final the first time, they lost. When they got to the Stanley Cup final the following time, they won. So like this is normal. So now for you, hopefully you learn something from it, retool and come back and do better next time. Now you've learned. Now you face a team that is showing you what it takes.
So there we go. It's a new chance, a new whatever. Yeah.
You'll get another crack at it. But to your point though,
what? Getting past the first round
with Ed. Which are you talking? Oh, the Leafs are a different problem.
Leafs, yeah.
I'm talking about from Edmonton though. Their problem, I think, what's going to happen next time, is that I think Draisaitl might not be around too. That's an issue for them because that hurts them. Because even with McDavid there, the advantage they had was that they had two guys like that created matchup problems. But if you only got one, then we can isolate and focus on the one, and that makes it more difficult. Here's what Eric can get behind: Olympic women's beach volleyball, high end. Eric has the pay-per-view package. He doubled it up with manual in space.
Bathing suits are pretty small.
T206 kid says women's college basketball is a better product than WNBA. I would tend to agree with that. Saw something today where the WNBA will lose $40 million this year, probably.
Yeah.
The NBA has been subsidizing that league for years. As a product, people have been as interested.
Since the very beginning, I think. Yeah. There's no other way to keep it alive. Even though these women do not make very much, just turning the lights on and paying, the arena staff to be there, they're losing money.
Yeah.
Because nobody.
Well, that's the Leafs doing that and supporting a lot of the other teams that don't do well either. Because what they take in is
revenue sharing. Yeah, it's revenue sharing.
It's huge. It's only a few teams like that, and Leafs are always the top one. And they're the most losing team, like honestly.
No, they make money in spite of themselves. At this point, they're a cash cow. They're a cash cow. They make money regardless. It doesn't matter. Yep. Orlando here. Good evening. Florida will close it out next game. Orlando's got confidence. He's seeking the sweep. CC here is asking the valid question. Carlos, what happened to the Bills lesson? Now, I do agree with CC's point. However, if we're being truthful here, though, the Bills was an interesting situation because the Bills should probably have won the first one. The first one was the one that they should have won. That was against the Giants. That was the one where it was the Scott Norwood wide right. So that was the one where they actually were in position to win that game and actually had the opportunity where had they made that kick, they won the game. So, and that loss, the lesson really wasn't anything other than make the kick. So unfortunately but if you go look at what happened with the Bills' 4 straight Super Bowls. That one against the Giants was their best chance to win. That was their best chance. If they had won that, there is an alternate universe out there where maybe they win one more, but they don't get the 4 straight. I think if they win that one, they don't get the 4 straight. Their problem was they ran into some buzzsaws after that. The Giants one, I think, was their best opportunity. And someone can fact check me. Please correct me. If memory serves me, I believe it was the Giants they tried first, missed on the wide right. Then I believe it was Washington was the second one. Then I think it was Dallas twice. I know Dallas was one of them for sure, and Dallas beat them up really, really well in one of them. But I think they faced Dallas at least one of those two, maybe both, and Dallas beat them up. But by that point, they could get there, but they were on fumes, and Dallas is just better. So Dallas was better. Washington was very well coached. They did what they needed to do. Okay, so Paul confirms. Yeah, so I have it right. Giants, Washington, and Dallas twice. That Dallas team was excellent. That Dallas team was going to beat up just about anybody who was on the other side. Washington was just really well coached, and they got it done. So the Giants one was their best opportunity. The first one was actually their best opportunity. That was the one they needed to win.
It looks like the Celtics have given up. I kid you not. I think there's no starters on the floor, and there's a lot of white guys.
So you're saying that's disgraceful that you said that, but you're also saying that tonight we will not get the first NBA 3-pointers. What you're saying to me?
It's pretty bad right now.
That's a shame.
Yeah, the starters still in for Dallas But there are no.
Well, they may as well run it up. Like they got to get their points.
Yeah,
They've been wanting to get something going the whole series.
It's 54-90.
Yeah.
And all the Celtics bench players are in. And it's only the third quarter. It's the third quarter. They have a whole quarter to play, and they got the whole bench in. There's guys out there that I haven't even seen before.
There you go. Paul C says became a Bills fan during the drive for 5. Unfortunate. Most unfortunate. They're still waiting for that 5th one. There was one more here that I actually wanted to touch on. Okay, so I'm just making sure I got everything. Made fun of Goldin Touch. Check. Talked about the National, cracking down. Got that on subletting. Finished off the PMG saga. Got that.
The ball stuck. Luca took this shot from so far out, like he doesn't even care. And the ball just got stuck in between the rim and the backboard, and it's just stuck in there. So they had to stop.
They should just play the rest of the quarter that way. They might help.
The Celtics.
It might help. I actually forgot about this one. I wanted to make sure I at least touched on it. So this is a good one. PWCC has been rebranded as Fanatics Collect, and they partnered up with Sotheby's.
Yes.
Yep.
A lot of stuff going on there.
Sotheby's.
Will says Adam Silver just tweeted today's game counts as 3 games. Make it so.
Yeah.
I'm not working either way, so make it so.
Yeah.
I'm good with it either way. It's fine. So anyway, I was going to say, so yes, PWCC rebranded Sotheby's. Now, I wanted to grab a comment, and I did actually get a comment on this one. I thought it was worthwhile mentioning.
I would call that PWC rebranding more of they let enough time go by that they acquired PWCC. It's now time to get them out of there. Get that name wiped off from them.
Yeah, well, that was kind of so it was Dave who mentioned that. So I want to touch on that. That's why I wanted to mention it. That's why I wanted to discuss it briefly. Let's see here. When will SGC be rebranded? So, okay, let me do this one quickly. So really what it comes down to, a lot of people, when SGC was acquired under collectors, they're looking at this. And I'm going to stand by what I said earlier. You could do it anytime you want. But the moment you do it, so right now SGC is getting 170,000 cards a month. And they actually got a record amount last month. And they've initiated a new special and everything. I'll repeat what I said earlier. Between SGC and PSA, they graded over 1.5 million cards last month. 1.5 million. 1.3 million in change for PSA and 170,000 in change for SGC. The moment you rebrand SGC and call it whatever you want that's not SGC, right now between the two of them, they're doing 1.5 million, you'll lose 200,000. You'll actually lose submissions. There is no point in rebranding them. There is no value to doing that. You can run it as a subset of the overall collectors as an alternate. I know Scott argues about this, and I listen to his points, but his points are not very good because they can actually make money running it as a side with it on its own. They can cut down on some inefficiencies and make some adjustments to it. Having that separate brand actually makes them more money than just absorbing it into the collector's whole. Making it PSA Florida doesn't help them. It doesn't work because anybody who grades with SGC doesn't want to grade with PSA. It makes no sense to break it off. Now, if SGC volumes ever drop off enough, then yeah, they just absorb it and be done with it. Take the graders, take whatever value you can out of it, extract it out, and you're done. But until then, as long as they can get 150, 170,000 cards a month running it as a separate brand, why? Why take away the money? Yeah, PSA Vintage, great. You're still going to lose 200,000. Vintage is not enough. Gem rate breaks down the numbers. Half of PSA's business is Pokemon and TCG. Yeah. It's not Vintage. Vintage is not going to carry you at all. It's not going to help. Right now, again, 1.5 million. The second you rebrand SGC, you're going to lose 200,000. But Carlos, you said they got 170,000. I know. They would also lose some of the PSA ones because they're like, fuck this. It won't go up. It'll go down. Right. You'll literally lose money the moment you do it. There's no good argument for making that change until SGC numbers drop.
Right.
If and when SGC numbers drop, then yeah, sure, go ahead. And then you lose nothing.
And I don't think they're going to. People like them.
Yeah, they like the tux, and as long as they like the tux, you leave it alone.
Yep.
Take the money and move on.
Yep. There's no reason
Just
to make it
have their place in the hobby.
Yeah, they've got a niche. They've got a pocket there.
Why would you even think of taking it? It's not that's a no-brainer. That's almost like taking out the competition so the other ones can grow. It wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah. All you'd be doing is funneling them over to somebody else. Like the moment you remove them, right now, like people are even knowing it's owned by collectors, they're still submitting to SGC. Let them live in ignorance.
Yes.
And by the way, even if they know, they're still willing to do it. Why wouldn't I take your money?
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, just let them have it. Let them have it. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, just leave it alone. Leave it alone. As long as people want to submit cards to SGC and put it in a tux, let them.
I guess the question is why they acquired them is the question that I think is really not been answered yet. I think
from a collector standpoint.
Well, no, from anybody's standpoint, business. Are they a profitable company? Probably.
SGC is a profitable company, yeah.
Yeah, they're
a smaller scale, but for what they're operating, they don't have a lot of extra fat. They're actually operating very lean. In reality, I actually think they're pretty profitable. Like you can absorb it and literally just take that extra bit of profit, and you've got a differentiator because that 170,000 wasn't going to send to PSA.
No.
So in reality, you picked up the 170,000 just by acquiring.
Basically, yeah, sure enough.
So you don't lose anything. Yeah.
This is a good move. About Pokemon being their main thing, I think you were saying as I was coming through the door.
Yeah, it's about half right now. A PSA is about, so like if they do 1.3 million, like 700,000 to 800,000 per month is about Pokemon TCG. Yeah. So like, and by the way, PSA Japan is getting a big chunk of that. So they've already got operations that are absorbing, making a lot of money. So why would they leave it be? Let them do. So the only reason PSA Japan exists is because, well, it's more efficient if they just submit locally, they encapsulate locally and send it right back.
That's it.
They don't have to send it across the ocean.
No. Yeah, exactly.
In that situation, it makes sense for them to set up a facility there. That's why they did it.
Yeah.
Make your life easier. There is a logic to it. Even if we don't always agree with the way they go about it, there is a logic to it. In that situation, it makes sense to do it. Not all the time.
Filling a container full of the Pokemon cards coming over to get graded. Yeah.
It's too much liability. It's way easier to set up a encapsulation facility over there. Let them do. You submit the Pokemons, we send them right back. No problem. Don't even worry about it.
It's Pokemans, but
all the Pokemans.
It's Mons, M-O-N, not Mans.
I believe it's Mans. I believe it's the Pokemans. Is the correct pronunciation. The Pokemans.
The Pokemans. Will here says, I got some nice high grade vintage and SGC slabs. Would it kill PSA to let us cross slabs on those now? It might
That would be a good thing. The crossover should be a little bit easier.
I think where the money's going to be, and I think Mike did in his discussion with Theo that I mentioned earlier. I think Mike mentioned it. I think at some point they'll do the thing where they'll have the PSA registry. And then they'll do one where they'll do the combined, where you have the option. The PSA guys that just want to stick to PSA, they'll be left alone. They won't be bothered. But they may do a thing where they'll be like, all right, we'll accept your SGC slabs. You can have it in this specific bucket if you want to combine the two. But that's not going to touch the PSA one because they want their own thing. But if you want to have a combined one, you can have your own separate database here. And that way the SGC guys can have their stuff as well.
Everybody's happy.
Exactly. Why pick up the SGC? Econ 101, reduce competition, slowly drive up prices then because you can. Yes. But also, like I said, in this case, literally pick up 170,000 submissions. Mm-hmm. You did that. Yes. And you can move the prices. Yes. But again, there is a value to having a brand that is priced differently. It is a standard business model to have brands at different price points. And you'll own both brands. You're offering two different offerings so that people. I use the analogy with the cell phone, right? I talked about Fido. Fido is the cell phone provider I use. Fido is owned by Rogers.
Yep.
Why wouldn't Rogers just charge double for Fido? Because there are people who will not pay double to go on Rogers. But if you offer Fido and have a stripped down version of it, but you still get your phone service, you still get your data, you still get that, Rogers was able to get your money either way. If you use Rogers, Rogers gets your money. If you use Fido, Rogers gets your money.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with the food industry too. You know, if you buy from a certain brand, they'll have their own version, like a select brand or, you know, whatever it is, and that kind of compensates for, hey, if you don't want to pay for the Libby's beans, you can get the select brand Libby beans, which is, and if you look at a lot of the different things they do, it's the same packaging, it's just a different label, but it's the same product basically. So, you know, it's just that choice, and people don't like something, they'll like the other, or vice versa. They'll go for price over the other thing. So it's very much the same in that regard too.
Yeah, that's why I said specifically, I'm not claiming that they would never absorb SGC, but I'm saying while there's money being made, and right now with the operation as it is, as long as you trim any fat, anything that's inefficient, you remove it. Any efficiencies you can add, you do that. But as long as it's operating as a profitable division, take your profit, take the extra money, and because like I said, as long as the people that like the tux that much are like, you know what, I don't care who owns it, I'll keep paying. I want my tux. They're like, okay, I accept your terms. I'll take your money. Here's your tux. Have a great day. And you'll take the money both ways. Yeah. Does SGC have upcharges on the vintage? They do. It is rare when it gets invoked, but if you have, it's on the modern where they decided to say no upcharges, but on vintage you can. Bobbles has mentioned previously that he's had the odd occasion. I think it was a 52 tops mantle that he had previously, or maybe a Jackie Robinson. I forget. There was a card where they actually got hit with an upcharge. It is rare, but it can happen on the vintage side. Yeah, but it's got to be a big card. If it's a really big card, then it's possible to get an upcharge. T206 SGC name has value. Yes, it's like Coke owning Dasani water. Yep, but some conglomerates own so many brands people don't even understand. There was a good example. So I talked about Anheuser-Busch. And again, Scott was questioning that analogy. It's like, I actually went to go double check myself. And even more so, it's like, go Google this shit for 5 seconds. So Anheuser-Busch is one of the big conglomerates that owns all those beer brands. Obviously, one of the big ones, Budweiser. Where's Budweiser based out of? St. Louis. St. Louis is where Budweiser is, like, their HQ is located. One of the brands they own under, I believe it's under Anheuser, which I believe is Interbev, something like that. Yeah. So it's like this big conglomerate that owns all these brands, right? Yeah. One of the big brands that they own is obviously Budweiser, and like I said, the HQ is in there. One of the brands they own, I believe, is Stella Artois. That's one of the brands in there. Stella Artois is not based in St. Louis. Their brewery is over in Europe. I think it's in Belgium.
Well, I think InBev is out of Europe too.
InBev, yes, but I'm saying like Budweiser, the Anheuser-Busch, that portion of it is based in St. Louis. So they've got an HQ there. And then they've got the thing over in Belgium, which is where Stella Artois is coming out of. So,
and I think they own Stella too, I think.
That's what I mean, Stella Artois. But I'm saying, if that's over there in Europe, and then you've got this other one over in St. Louis, why wouldn't you just merge them into one mega? Because the people that are buying Stella would immediately reject your attempt to do that. The moment you, by the way, because you'd shut down the factory, you'd remove all this stuff, and maybe they wouldn't be interested anymore. Maybe it wouldn't taste the same because you try to replicate it. Maybe they can't replicate it.
There's one reason. Hey, there's one reason. Let me get this, make sure you get this through your thick head. All right. One reason. America. All right. You don't want none of that Stella Artois coming over here and getting mixed up with our America beer. All right. That's why.
That 3% stuff. Yeah, man.
All right.
The water. The water.
That Stella Artois can stay over there in the Belgiums, and you leave America beer alone. Okay? You Canadians don't appreciate the importance of America.
We appreciate hey, per capita, I think we're doing pretty good on beer.
Yeah, I don't think we're worried about beer. we're not concerned with the dirty water you consider beer. Bush owns Modelo. Yeah, there's a bunch. The bottom line is that there's so many brands. But the point was, like I said, Scott was trying to make a point. I was listening to him, and I was sitting there like, okay, look, if you're going to argue the beer point, if you're going to try to argue, it's at least make sure you've looked at it, because they have got different breweries in different places, depending on what they've operated on, because it just makes more sense for them to leave it alone, because individually the brands are profitable. So as a whole, the conglomerate makes money. Yes, if it would be more efficient for you to run one mega brewery out of one place, then sure. but there's a lot of cases where it's not practical to do that. It doesn't make sense. It's actually more difficult. You've made logistics harder, and you're breaking a chain that is actually operating pretty well.
Yeah.
The distributions are already in place. The trucks are there. They've got the distribution network set up. So are there more efficiencies they can do? Yeah. And they've done it. They didn't buy a Stella Artois yesterday. It's been going on for years. So why wouldn't you, if it's so important to merge everything and put it all into one place? No, sometimes it doesn't make sense to do that. Sometimes it does make sense. Not always.
True.
Eric wants a Sam Adams, mayhaps. There's 62 brands in the bush that have been discontinued.
Right to have a Sammy here in Massachusetts. Right, everywhere you go, you are given at least one Sammy.
One Sammy. There are 62 brands in the bush that have been discontinued. Yep, and both. But like I said, both those things will have. The moment the brand is no longer profitable at a level of which is acceptable, then you do it. But as long as it's profitable. So when I say SGC just set a record for the amount of cards they took in submission, that would not be the time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll revisit this conversation next month. If the numbers suddenly drop off the face of the earth, but I don't know. Beckett can pretty much do anything, and their numbers are bad, but they don't ever seem to drop anymore. It's like they're just where they are. There you go. The Americans do anything better, Canada, but the beers is not one of them. Stay out of the beers.
I'm not saying the beer is better.
It's not.
Okay?
It's not.
What I'm saying.
I'm saying it's not. I'm saying it's not.
What I am saying is that the beer is ours.
Can I figure out?
Ours is Merck. And I don't
figure out what is that accent supposed to be?
I don't want none of that Stella A.
Can we figure out what kind of ridiculous abomination that accent is supposed to be? Because I am lost.
Me too.
I was trying to figure out what that was what on earth is that supposed to be? Nobody knows.
That's the last box of the VHC.
The last box?
Yep. Made in Canada, not America.
Not America? Is there things in that? Is the box full, or is it empty, or is it like half and half?
No, is there an app in there?
Completely empty.
Empty?
There's an old PVR in there, so.
Oh, nice.
It's getting thrown out, but I thought I'd keep the box because it's the last label.
All right. So anyway, we got on the whole brand thing because I was talking about the PWCC thing there, and I wanted to make sure I read Dave's comment, so I pulled it up here. So I'll quickly read it.
Branding while Brandon wasn't even here.
There you go. So forgot to mention, if you didn't see the news, Fanatics killing off PWCC brand. He puts in brackets about a year too late in his opinion. Now, this is where I wanted to kind of discuss this briefly. This was the whole branding conversation. I think they found that no amount of polishing was ever going to remove the stench off Brent and his gang's previous actions. Now, Dave is always very much concerned about this. And I wanted to make sure I read his comment because obviously Dave's got a lot of good comments and good conversations that we have. But It's one of those things where I'm like, okay, Eric, can you refresh our memory one more time? What is rule number 1?
Oh, people are stupid.
Yes. Now, I believe there is also one about corruption. Which number is that one?
Let's take a quick look.
Yes, let's consult. There is one also about corruption. I want to make sure we get this right, Bobby. This is important. Rule number 1 is valid, but also there's corruption.
I think there's a name.
We have rule number
update.
3.
Number 3. All right.
Corruption is rife in the hobby.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to get to.
Wasn't number 8 we kind of didn't get to filling it out?
We're still contemplating 8. Something about
we were trying to figure out the wording. The wording is what's still being discussed.
We got to bring it up every once in a while. So we can,
Beckett flab. Thou shalt not Beckett. Beckett is banished. Beckett equals
funny that Beckett is in the news too now. Yeah. So we could really kind of hone that down.
It has to be something about
Bobby. That. If we can't come up with a really good idea, maybe Hobby Palooza will be us figuring out what rule number 8 should be. we may just solicit the collective hold to determine the proper wording on this
of some sort.
Beckett is bad. Is that?
It is succinct into the point. It is succinct into the point.
That's what I mean. Maybe it has to be
it's simple, point. Stupid, right? Beckett is bad. Rule number 8. I'm okay.
So
with
anyway,
that.
The reason I wanted to read Dave's comment, the reason I wanted to read it was that Dave is always fixated on the whole, the background and the history of PWCC. And he's, to be clear, he's correct. But again, to be clear, that's where he's in. I invoke number 3 about the corruption.
Corruption is right.
Fanatics doesn't give a crap.
Clear.
Yeah,
Sorry.
to be clear. Yeah, not quite to be fair, but to be clear. But Fanatics doesn't give a shit. Fanatics didn't buy PWCC because they're swell fellas. That's not why they bought them. They bought them because what they were buying was a distressed asset because they had put themselves into a financial hole with their borrowing. Fanatics went and go, ooh, bargain. I love bargains. And what they were able to buy was a turnkey operation that already had a marketplace, an auction house, and a vault. And they were able to buy this on the cheap. They were able to get all 3 on the cheap. They said, all right, we will bail you out of your problem, but we're going to buy this at a really cheap price. We got our half off coupon over here. We can buy it on the cheap, and you will not question it. You will get out of the way and you'll do whatever we say. And Brent over at PWCC said, yes, sir. Whatever you say, Mr. Rubin man, whatever you say.
Mr. Rubin man.
They had everything going for them. If they ran a clean ship, I think they would be really, really big right now. They would be huge. But too many things along the way.
But so that was the first point. The first point is the reason Fanatics bought them. They don't give a crap about their past, their history. None of that matters at all. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is the reason they didn't rebrand them right away is because they didn't need to. From their perspective, their job was to get their people in, install their people in, figure out the operation, the lay of the land, get everything set up. By the way, they've been running auctions the whole time. And in the same vein, so we're all on the same page. There are people, I know, shocking, but there are people like myself, and I'm not the only one, as much as you like to try to pretend, that know the history of PWCC, all the shadiness, all that stuff. And guess what? If it's got a card I want and the price that is at a level at which I'm happy with, I don't give a shit. It's not I don't give a crap what you did. I don't care if you rob banks.
I don't care if,
did I get the price I wanted on the item I wanted? Yes. Great. We're good.
Better.
Yeah, we're good. Especially because in the early days, trepidation for people resulted in bargain prices.
Yes. And then the end, more bargains.
Yeah. And I was able to get all my items for a very good price. I don't care. It's a means to an end for me. So who's running PWCC? Don't give a shit. You want to call it Fanatics Collecting? Great. Sounds wonderful. I don't care.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's really about the collector. Whether you don't like the guy, I always say never burn a bridge. Guys can be a jerk, whatever. One day you're going to want something on his table. And if you burn that bridge, you got to go get somebody else to buy it at their table. So, he can be a jerk. He can kind of rip you off. He can do whatever. Never burn that bridge because he might get something.
What if he threatens to never come back to your country and blames you for it?
Well, that's
like Eric. That's like everybody. That's like thousands of people. You have to be more specific.
And the best
Does
part
their name rhyme with Ben? Does their name rhyme with Ben?
Maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, what my point that I'm making is the following: when Fanatics bought it, they bought it because they found a distressed asset that had things they wanted at what was going to be a bargain price for them. It's a business transaction. Now, as far as the people involved, so the second half of his comment here, no amount of polishing is going to remove the stench of brand. Most of the people buying from PWCC do not give a shit. They A, don't know, or B, don't give a shit at all. So they could keep it PWCC for the rest of time. But Fanatics names everything after itself eventually when it buys it. But there was no hurry. There was no immediate urgency. Oh my God, we got to do it immediately. No, they took their sweet. It took 18 months. They took their sweet ass time. It was not a problem. And by the way, they were running auctions and making money on these sales the whole way along the way. They were not having an issue.
Someone's going to lose their show that does those.
Fanatics.
I think they'll just call it Fanatics Watch Alongs. They'll probably just adjust it. But the other part,
will they be sponsored? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. We'll have to see what the deal to is. But the other part of it as well. So about the people that were involved in it, the only people that was really removed was basically Brent. And it was it wasn't because of Brent's shady past. It wasn't because of legal, because Dave always takes the angle as like, oh, well, it's because Brent, has all these issues. No, literally Michael Rubin doesn't know Brent from Adam. He doesn't know who the fuck he is. He doesn't care. He only question he asked was, is this guy useful to us? We don't really need him. He's redundant. All right, get rid of him. His name could have been Brent, Dave, Bob. He doesn't care. He doesn't know. You could ask Michael Rubin at gunpoint. He has no idea who Brent is. The decision to remove him had nothing to do with his past. It had everything to do with, is he useful at this point?
Yeah.
The answer was no.
And they were doing so well, PWCC. It's when they went their own website, that's when a lot of things started crashing down. And just the way it went. He grew, and he was, man, they were on point for going to the top, being one of the major auction houses. But like for card specifics, they had a great website and everything like that. But you get too many people that are questionable in there, and people will ruin your reputation. And
well, the problem that they ran into is they did the borrowing thing from like the financial crisis when the mortgage thing happened.
Well, there was all the other stuff prior to that, but yeah, that added on to the.
No, but the problem was, Bobby, they literally were literally lending people money off of cards as assets.
I know.
And then as the prices went down, the collateral was worth less than the loan.
I get it.
So people were like, I'm not paying back the loan. Go ahead, sell the cards. And the cards were worth less than the loan.
Yep.
They basically ran out of cash. And they put themselves in that position by taking an item that could drop in price. And they literally loaned. The person who got the cash got to do whatever they wanted to do with the cash. Yeah. Oh, yeah, keep it. Keep the cards. Sure. Sell them. Do whatever you need to do.
Oh, that was Mark's cards too, right?
Yeah. So that is what put them in that position. So the rest of the company was operating well enough. It's just they put themselves in by allowing themselves here.
Yeah.
Excess leverage. You created a situation where you were lending out more than all it took was the assets dropping in value a little bit. Once it crossed that line, it crossed that red line, you're dead because there's nowhere to get that money back. You can't sell the items to get enough money back to cover your own losses. And all of a sudden you're in the red all over the map.
You're too big for your britches, and that shit'll happen to you. So, and they had all the questionable things that went along the road there too. So there was a lot of things happening.
Yeah. But the thing is, if they hadn't gone into the loan business the way they did, honestly, they'd still be Brent could still be running the show today.
Pretty much.
Because they were running well enough. They were doing well enough for the rest of it. If they had just left it be, he got greedy. He went too far. He got greedy, and he pushed himself.
Well,
in
I think
position.
most people did, anyways. If you look at all the different shows, all the different things that happened that aren't around today, like everybody's sort of dropping off, and then DSA or Fanatics is coming in and buying them out. Brian Gray's out of business now. Somebody bought it. It's just been culminating into one central kind of thing. It's like everything's kind of coming together in one big hump. All these little tributaries off the main river of flow of the hobby is kind of just drying up and coming into one. So we're going to have a big lake coming soon.
Wow. Got a big lake too. So Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards, good evening, Rick. Think my PWCC IPL sticker in the back of my Ruth card is worth anything now? Your Ruth is just tripled. At least.
That's vintage.
Zach says 10 likes. We need to step it up. What I might have to do is, I might just have to quintuple Eric's like button rate.
Oh,
we'll compensate. I've upcharged your like button.
No.
Upcharge.
Realize that there's nothing to
the hobby loves upcharges.
Oh, they do. No,
Bobby, the hobby loves upcharges. I had to upcharge his like button. As someone who bought 2 John Diligent rookie cards lately, I'm offended by this diminishing of the bank robbers. I know.
Paul, who makes those cards? I mean, who makes John Dillinger cards? What year were they, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, he can be specific. There is a specific set that he was collecting. CC says, all joking aside, the most intriguing part of the new Fanatics platform is trading. Yes, they're going to have like a trading element to it as well. I'll include a link in the description to their press release about it. I am also interested in what this trading portion involves.
I guess you're going to have your own name on that, sort of like a eBay kind of thing, where you can sell stuff. You can put your stuff for sale. It'll sell through you, opposed to through PWCC or whatever on their own platform, and then they'll just separate it from there.
I'm just curious though how they intend to, like, right now they're calling it a trade platform, but like the thing is we can kind of do that now if you've already got items in the vault. So my question is what their version of that, it is going to be the same. Is it expanding it to something else to allow them to be a middleman for it? Like what is that supposed to be?
ComC-ish.
Yeah. But that's look, for years I've said ComC could have had a thing if they made it possible to flip cars in the middle. But again, ComC has to be able to hire a way to make money
out at that time. So anyway,
yeah, to move from box A to box B. Yeah, it'd be a pain.
Well,
it'd be a pain.
The game just ended, and it's the third largest victory in NBA history?
We don't actually care about second or third. It's always the first, so you'll forget that tomorrow.
If you're not first, you're last.
Got crushed. Third worst lost at NBA Finals history.
And you didn't inspire the troops, Eric? It's very disappointing.
Well, I was busy doing this stupid shit. I didn't have time to, take care of business.
You could have inspired them with your mind. You could have sent them an encouraging text message. Nobody stopped you from doing that. Jerk. All the players are checking their phones on the sideline going, is Eric going to send us inspirational words? Nope.
I got busy.
Paul C says, I really thought the collateral loans would have crashed more spectacularly. Possibly. And Paul says, Chickle 33, R39 Daredevils. They can be named interchangeably. So that is where the Dillinger cards come in. R39 Daredevils.
Yeah, I figured it was
cigarettes. Cigarettes, bubble gum. I mean, what?
So R is
what product?
The R cards are the I forget what the R stands for. I remember. Now I got to look it up.
Damn it! I should know that.
R designation cards. What is the R designation?
Verdict in there.
Yeah. Burbick. R designation, movie card. What is that? American card catalog designation. R cards are additional candy.
Additional candy.
Yeah, I got it here. So this is from Sports Collectors Daily. So the A cards are used for tobacco albums. B cards, miniature blankets and rugs. C cards, Canadian tobacco cards. So like C46 Imperial, for example. D cards, bakery sets. E cards are early candy and caramel releases. F cards are Boston Bruins cards.
Shut up.
FM cards. Allegedly. Food issues, they were packed with all sorts of products. Classified them further, separated by different products like ice cream, meat, beverages, desserts, cereals, example. H cards are advertising trade cards. K cards are coffee cards that Burdick separated from food issues. Interesting. Wow. M cards are different publications. So like the Sporting News, for example, those ones. N classification is used a bit differently. Burdick used them for Central and South America cards. Okay. P cards, pin and button issues. R cards are additional candy and gum issues that were released later than the E cards. Most examples range from the 30s to 50s, and popular examples include the Gowdy and Play Ball cards.
Wow. Boy, that designation's tough.
Like I don't even try to memorize them. Like there were just so many. Like so some of them are familiar, but like you have to really be looking at them.
Just C or T. Tobacco.
Yeah, their own packs. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. Here we go. Rick says, bought a card from PWCC that ended up being trimmed. Yep. PWCC contacted me and bought the card back. A couple of years later, they contacted me if I wanted to buy the trimmed card back at a reduced rate. There you go. Discounts. Hey, listen, Rick, I hear if you chat with folks at Beckett, you can get cards in different colors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Worst comes to worst, if you do it through eBay, they'll refund you and pay everybody.
Nice.
Facts. True story.
I just hope that Beckett gets sued, man. Someone just needs to drop the hammer on them.
I think they keep dropping the hammer on their own foot.
Yeah, they've been working on that one for a while.
Yeah,
it's been tough, but yeah,
but a high profile lawsuit where they come out guilty and have to pay a large sum of money to for damages. That
a large sum of money
will get the hobby's attention, and people will just say, well, "We're done with them," and let them die.
So I go back to my original question from before. A high-profile lawsuit, they pay out all that money, they get embarrassed, and then we check the gem rate, and they get 50,000 cards like last month.
Damn.
And they don't die. And nobody cancels anything, and no one does anything, and no one cares.
That's right.
Because of rule number one.
Yeah. That's the reason why, that's the reason why, though, like I was saying seriously. I believe that Beckett is a good example as any, has proven over a period of time now, they've had a long enough track record to demonstrate that once people have decided that they want to participate in your brain, it doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how you do it, and doesn't matter how many times you screw up. Screw up 1,000 more times, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, I love Beckett." Okay, fair enough. There's nothing I can say to you at this point.
They're the one person that has the opportunity to come back.
They're beyond help.
They have more opportunity than anybody else to make a resurgence, and they just don't see it.
Well, there's going to be somebody at some point who has money who's going to sit there and have that same idea. They're like, "Oh man, these guys are Teflon. There is nothing you can do to sink the ship. Nothing. I may as well buy it and run it." So at that point, it's like, you can't do worse.
No.
So,
and then you can fix it up, maybe.
Yeah, they're going to be like, the only direction you can go is up. Clearly, if you can't sink the damn thing, then just fix the boat.
They're paying salaries to people, so
yeah, so it works out. So anybody then, I believe it or not, actually managed to get through a whole docket of stuff. That was a lot over the course of the show. We managed to do it. We didn't even get to talk about we didn't even get to make full fun of Eric's Reggie Limited Minutes.
No.
CC says the Beckett name has kept them relevant. Yes, but there is a world where BGS disappears slowly, like GAI. GAI was an interesting one. I think it would take a series of. The thing is, even like the PMG thing isn't going to sink them. It'll be embarrassing. It'll be a punchline of a hobby joke. We'll make fun of them. We'll cackle some, and then 6 months, the world will move on and forget it until the next thing.
So there he goes. Welcome to the hobby.
Yeah. So at that point, I don't know. Even Eric's evangelizing doesn't stop. Eric will keep pitching them, to everybody, and it'll just be one thing after another.
I go on street corners and and preach from a soapbox.
Mm-hmm.
And try to get people, to come to the Beckett family, where we're gonna get our own remote island and drink Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Wow.
You're drinking the Kool-Aid, really, Jim Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Paul can speak to the specific. Paul can speak to the specific, but it wasn't actually Kool-Aid. It was like an off-brand. He was too cheap for Kool-Aid.
Freshie.
Yeah, it was something else. Like, I don't even know.
Do you know Freshie? No.
That one doesn't ring.
It was the rival of Kool-Aid when I was growing up.
Quite
big. It had a toucan on the front of it.
It's like Toucan Sam. Does somebody need to sue?
Similar. Very similar. Yeah.
Here you go, Paul. Flavor Aid. Thank you, Paul. I knew you'd know. I knew Paul would know.
Oh, you're a sick bastard that you know this stuff. You're sick. You're a sick man.
He already made an Ed Gein joke like tonight.
I saw the Ed Gein joke.
Like tonight.
Tag in the end here. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Listen, Rick, I'll have you know. I heard a rumor that for Father's Day, Tag is doing so well. Let me tell you, so well that you can get your very own custom, Father's Day card in a Tag slab. And I think if you put like the basic items on it, it's like a mere $60. It's a pittance. So now they're gonna have two SKUs. Now you can have your very own coaster, the fanciest coaster in the land, the fanciest coaster in the land. The fanciest of fancy coasters. And then for Father's Day, just never Father's Day, you can get an overpriced piece of crap card inside of a fancy coaster.
Mm-hmm. So they, I guess Tag reminds me of, I don't know, HGA sort of thing. It's like, what's going on?
Oh, no, HGA has far more dignity than that. HGA has far too much self-respect to lower themselves to such levels.
Anyways, man.
HGA still exists. Check this out.
They do still exist.
Yeah, check that out.
They do. I know. It's like,
hybrid grading.
I don't see it.
Amazing feedback we've got. We decided to extend the summer grading special. Yes.
I mean,
I also see lemon M&M underneath that.
There was 12 new.
Are they all leaf, Eric?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Good evening, Lapper. So, y'all, folks. So two things. Number one, hit the like button. We charge Eric for it, and I've decided to quintuple his rate. So he's been upcharged on the rates. Secondly, we've covered an actual lot of actual hobby topics tonight. We've been pretty good, man. Look, Bobby, bullet points. That was a whole page worth of stuff. There's a lot here, man. Covered it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if anybody else has anything they'd like to chat on. We could start winding down a little early tonight. There's no harm in that. But I'm also curious if there was anything that we missed or anything that folks did want to touch on that they felt was worthwhile. I wanted to make sure I touched on the main topics. What was that?
Other than French fries.
The French fries, yes. For the most part, though, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, Bobby. For the most part, not bad. We even got a review of the second season of the Goldin Touch.
Yes.
Yeah, so we got that in there.
I don't have Netflix. I gotta get it.
I'll be honest. I'm looking more forward to Full Swing. I'm looking forward to the second season of Full Swing.
I don't know what
that's the PGA Tour. Basically, they follow some PGA Tour players. I watched the first season. It was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty good. I liked it. So I'm hoping the second season will be interesting. The first season, they touched on a lot of what was going on with Live Tour. I don't know what they're going to do for season 2, but I'd be curious to see. I've enjoyed some of the documentaries they put together. So I enjoyed season 1. I'll be interested in checking out season 2. Might as well take advantage of it during my month while I'm paying for Netflix anyway. Might as well. Now I did, since we did mention it, let me ask this. CC already asked the question about McDavid. If the worst comes to worst for him, like I said, it's not going to collapse, but it'll go down. I guess the question is, maybe this would be more an open-ended question. Situation like that, you got a great player who has this opportunity, maybe it doesn't work. And if he gets swept, that's going to be very interesting. But even if they get back next year or have another run next year, let's say they're able to get at least close, get to the Western Conference Finals or maybe get to a similar kind of situation, you lose a little bit of trust in the marketplace. Does the marketplace kind of sit back as a wait and see and be like, not yet? So they're not trusting. They're like, you burned me once. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for you to go up 3-0 before I push that trigger again. So I'd be curious if that's going to be a thing. So he says, when's your Hobby Palooza time? Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern.
It's past my bedtime. I can't do that.
No, you're not. Eric, I will get the people to prepare you. I've already talked to Kathy and your wife. We discussed this. And Eric, what do you think about Clockwork Orange?
Oh, good God.
All we got to do is get the little things there, Eric. And we just
I don't want the little
chair. Things. Oh, we get the little things to hold your eyes open.
The little things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be fine.
No.
Yep.
As we well know, we like a little bit of the ultra violence.
He used to do it when he was on Clubhouse all the time, staying up.
Oh, yeah. No, the best part is he did that even though Clubhouse is audio and it's completely unnecessary. He doesn't have to look at anything. All he has to do is talk.
Right.
But he's like, I must stare at the avatars and the little graphics as people are talking.
Yes.
Yep, Paul appreciated that movie reference. I'm glad you did. Paul says, I'm glad to hear there's a hobby-related show on a Saturday. Exactly. I, for one, am glad that for once, after year, you would think the pandemic would have brought this. Bobby, you would have thought the pandemic would have, on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, for the first time possibly in hobby history, there will be a hobby live stream on.
I think there was some, but in other sort of areas of...
maybe Mesozoic era. I don't even remember. Like, it's not even a thing.
But
it's...
Just saying.
That would be one.
Bring it back. We'll revitalize it. Make Saturday a thing.
Yes.
For at least one show.
For at least one show. That's right.
We'll just move back to... Remember the 2 shows you used to do? Saturday, Friday, and Sunday.
Yep. So you guys do personal pickups. So I did mention I picked up 2.
None of your business. None of your business.
Come on, Eric. You were bragging earlier tonight about all your Reggie Lemon M&Ms. Your beloved Leaf Lemon M&Ms.
But that was before he got here. It's none of his business. I don't want him to know my business. Okay? He doesn't deserve to know my business. I'm not telling him nothing.
Rick here says, Carlos made the big time. He has a time slot on Hobby Palooza. Rick, I've been on Hobby Palooza before as a guest previously. It's more like I've decided to take the charity to heart. As a man of peace, I've decided to be charitable by coming on and closing it down on the Saturday. Plus, I get more than an hour. That's the important part. That's really the only thing that matters. You limit me to an hour? Screw off. No good. But get a little over an hour. Now I'm kind of interested. I'm intrigued. We'll see. We'll figure it out. We'll have some fun. Maybe we'll have a game show. We'll figure out how to rig it so Eric loses, and we can have a fun game show.
Me just showing up, I lose.
That's like your life mantra.
That's fun.
This has nothing to do with this. Oh man, I showed up and lose. Oh.
Hobby Monopoly.
Lemon.
No, he doesn't get to see my lemon. No. No. None for him. He just got to make fun of me anyway. So no.
I think everybody's gonna make fun of you, Eric.
That's fun for us, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't mind when other people make fun of me. I just don't like when he does it.
Okay. We'll remember that.
There you go.
Statement.
There you go. So anything else you guys want to touch on here? Otherwise we'll wind her down. We'll let you all have the rest of your Friday evenings to contemplate if the sweep is on. Tomorrow night there will be a sweep, and like I said, a week tomorrow will be the Hobby Palooza festivities. Yep. Very exciting. Live the dream. And I think I'll record the pickup video for the new pickups. I'll be able to show off a little bit on there. CC says, Eric, how many of those Leaf Regine auto cards do you have? Are you trying to collect all versions or just trying to collect all the other cards?
I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't. I don't know. There's 20 something of them now.
All right. So let's do this. We'll start winding her down. And Bobby, if you want to take off and get a little bit of a rest, feel free. Like I think it's good.
It's the heat that's making me tired.
Yeah, no worries.
It's hot in here. I got the fan.
Yeah, it does. When it gets humid, it wears you down. It really does.
It's cool outside, but there's just not enough air coming in. It's cool
Bobby, you're describing the infamous my main floor situation where it's like humidity just wears you down. You just get tired.
It does.
Yeah, it is fact.
But otherwise, I'm not. But I mean,
yeah. Why don't you take off for the evening? We'll catch you a little bit later. I'll finish up with Eric. I'll make fun of his lemon a little bit, and that'll be a good way to wind her down.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Have
yourself a good night. We'll chat later.
Ciao, guys.
Yes, absolutely. I want to make sure Bobby had a chance to get a rest because it is when it's humidity, it does wear you out. Like you get super tired. I've lived that life. Was there ever an update on the Brady autos? Was there anything from your buddy on the Brady autos, or is it just kind of still in flux?
Still in flux. I haven't heard anything about it for a while. I know that they were talking to lawyers. Where it all stands at this very moment, I do not know. As soon as I get an update, I will pass it on. I also haven't been to work in a couple of weeks for a handful of different reasons. But when I do get back in there, I'll see if I can talk to them about it.
Makes sense. So let's actually touch on this one for a minute since CC's asking. So let me ask you this. Obviously, player collector wise, you try to get as many as you can. Yeah. Do you actually let me ask this. Obviously, you try to grab ones that you can. I assume that you've got like a price limit where if it falls under this threshold, all right, yeah, what the hell, I'll add it.
Yeah.
Do you think you can get most of them under your price threshold, or where do you think you sit on that?
I think I got 21 of them now.
Do you actually have 21 of them?
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
All right. I want to quickly grab a refill here before we do. Eric, can you show your 21? Wonderful. Lemon.
Embarrassing.
Oh, that's what makes it great. That's a showcase of showcases. It's like we appreciate the fact that Brady's buddies aren't in a cult. Maybe. Oh, this will be a special treat. Name? It's like hit the record button. This is going to be very special. It's going to be great. I love it. Amazing. Sure. Also, at the same time, is there anything in the chat that you guys want to chat on? Feel free. Just let me know. We can always touch on a couple of things before we wind her down for the evening. We covered a lot of ground, though. I will say we actually covered a lot of ground. I was very impressed.
All right.
So this is the lemon M&M's. Go for it. I'll be right back.
That's 1 out of 3. That's 1 out of 5. That's 3 out of 7. That's 2 out of 8. That's 7 out of 10. And those are the acetate ones. These are the shimmer ones. That's 3 out of 3. That's 2 out of 5. That's 5 out of 5. So I had 2 5s, I guess. 10 out of 10. Now we're in the crystals. 2 out of 4. 1 out of 5. 5 out of 6. 6 out of 7. 7 out of 8. 2 out of 8. Looks like I got 2 of those. 6 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Crystal silver. I got 2 of those also. This is an exotic. It's a snake. That's snake skin on the back. Here's another exotic. Oh yeah, and that was out of 8. This one's another one. This is tiger. 3 out of 10 for tiger. Then I have parrot. Out of 5 for parrot. And then for butterfly, 1 of 1 on butterfly. Someone help me. Stop the madness. Someone has to do something. Somebody has to step up and step in and stop this madness.
What I'm hearing, now it won't be BG, it won't be Brian Gray because he doesn't run the company anymore. What I'm hearing is that his successor, what I hear you saying to me and to Leaf is more.
No, I don't.
You are not trying hard enough. That is, I want 210.
No,
we can 10x this shit, Eric. 10x.
I don't. What year is this? I don't. This is 2023, but this is one of those Leaf out of 5, 6 signature ones, and there's Reggie on the back.
Yep, the signature 6. Yep.
I got Ron Hextall, Kirk McLean, Andy Moog, Reggie Lemlin, Jocelyn Tebow, and Manny Fernandez. So there's 3 Bruins on here.
There you go. When Eric completed the run, I'm predicting a market crash in the Reggie Lululemon market. Facts.
Oh, God. It's just too much. Leaf sucks.
Picturing saying snake like the old vine. Wow, there's a reference. CC says Leafs product team did a great job. They got Eric hooked on buying. Facts.
So ridiculous. Not to mention, not even to mention these other stupid ass things from Leaf. Hold on. I'm not even done. Hold on. Oh my God, it never stops.
Oh, please continue. You're amusing me. Go on.
Okay. These are also all from Leaf with the same damn picture on it, just to let you
live the
know.
dream. Do it.
Okay. This is out of how many? This is a 1 of 1 jersey auto. This is 1 out of 5. Exact same damn thing. Here's a 3 out of 7. Exactly the same. Here's a 1 out of 12. Again, exactly the same. Here is a 17 out of 30. It's exactly the same. And then you have these. This is 1 out of 2. Here is 4 out of 6. And here is 16 out of 25. They're exactly the same. Just disgusting. I hate what has happened to me. It's not right. It's just not right.
So you're saying you hate what you've become?
I hate myself. I hate Leaf. What other kind of Leaf crap have they? I got the rest of it's all.
Oh, Zach, don't worry about Hobby Palooza. Eric has so much miscellaneous crap in those. Look at how much boxes of shit he's got back there. Do you have any idea how much miscellaneous crap is going on back there?
Oh,
you don't even know. You don't even know. This is barely scratching the surface.
No, I don't.
Barely scratching the surface.
I don't think I have any more Leaf. I got lots of other stuff.
That's okay. That's okay, Eric. Look, if I wanted to do Leaf, I literally have a box. I have a 3-row box of a bunch of Leaf stuff over the years, accumulated over the years. But but what's funny? But what's funny about this is, well, number one, your pain amuses me. But in addition to that, I laugh and that because that's always been one of the conversation points we have. We'll do the live stream, we do all this stuff. We will show cards for sure, but that's not really the bulk of the show. So the funny thing is I could change up Hobby Palooza by doing nothing more. Like, all right, we're actually going to show some cards tonight. Let's just grab a box and start showing cards. We could do that. It'd be very easy to do, but because most of the time we don't.
I'm much more proud of like saying, hey, check out this 1970 run of autograph cards that I have, you know. Here's the 3 that, you know, that we had made for a show that we did. These aren't real.
You know, I hear if you send those into Beckett, you could write on the top, totally 1970 Topps cards, totally legit, and Beckett will
Corey, Cashman, Hodge, Johnny Busick, Wayne Carlton, Ed Johnston, Rick Smith, Don Marcotte, Jerry Cheevers, Fred Stanfield, Derek Sanderson, Dallas Smith, and then there's some guy named Bobby Orr. You know, it's like this makes me happy. Buying Reggie cards it just makes me sad.
Paul here says, wait till he hears out someone misspelled his last name, and I got one of the 1-1s.
Keep it. I don't want it.
Oh, but secretly you do. Especially if it has a leprechaun in the background.
God, I have not purchased any of those. I have not tried. I have not chased. I have not bid. I have not sniped. I have not gone anywhere near those stupid ass cards. There's one I think with a Yeti or a Bigfoot. Or a Bigfoot or something. Yeah, the one with the leprechaun, plus the money that people wanted for them, are just so stupid.
Well, look, Eric. In all seriousness, the issue with the Leaf cards is not even you may not be interested in the wacky design. You may not, and some of them are mixed bag, and some of them are very basic and plain. Like I showed this whole theme here. All right, so it's retired numbers. All right, very straightforward. Like it's not like this is complicated theme. It's retired numbers. You got a number there. You got a little shimmer going. There's your sticker auto, and there you go. And this one is numbered to 9. So this version. There is like a 1-of-1 version that somebody bought a couple of weeks back or a month back. I didn't buy it, so that wasn't me. Have yourself a good night, Paul. Take it easy. So anyway, so I've got this version, and I think there's one other version that's not a 1-of-1. I'll probably grab that as well, and that'll be it for me. Like there's like 2 or 3 versions. Like it's not crazy. Relative. That's restraint for Leaf. That's restraint. Not bad. Okay, that's fine. But the point is that you don't need to get these. I like them as an offset. I'm a big autograph card fan. Like it's like a subset of my collection. I specifically, same thing with this. This is a newer product. It's a new trilogy. The design of this, by the way, isn't anything to write home about either. It's not. It's called Generations. It's like a 3-piece. So you got like 3 players that make up the Generations. Banana was the first of the 3 pieces, but they got a couple of parallels of it, and one of them is the gold. This is the gold out of 10 autograph. But again, it's a sticker auto from Upper Deck. So this is fully licensed, but at the same time, it's like it's nothing to write home about. It's pretty basic. But whatever. I didn't pay crazy money for it, so it's fine. But 2 more autographs for my pile. The point, though, is that with Leaf, the problem isn't that the designs are plain or that they're whacking it out there, or even all the patterns. The problem is when somebody pulls it from a relatively expensive pack and then wants to try to make the money back, and it's like, but it's not worth that.
No.
Oh, but it's numbered to 2. It's numbered to 1. It's a 1-of-1. That doesn't matter. It's not worth that much. I'm a collector, and I under the right circumstances I'll pay for it. But I've gotten so many Leaf cards super cheap because they don't hold that much value. Doesn't matter if there's a Hall of Famer. Doesn't matter if there's a great player. Doesn't matter if it's a clean auto. Doesn't matter if the design looks cool. It doesn't sell for much.
Right.
So that's the piece. It's not that they make a whack. You do not have to buy them. But the other problem that you have is Lebanon doesn't have that many cards. So after a while, you kind of run out of regular cards, and then what you're left with is whatever Leaf comes up with.
I'm hoping some of these stupid ass ones that people want, anywhere from $60 to $100 for, with Yetis and leprechauns I can get in a year or two for like $5.
It's going to be tough. Though. You're on the wrong side of somebody who's already has the sunk cost fallacy. They paid like, I don't even remember what they are, like $100 a pack for the thing, and they got that card, and they're like, I don't care if the card isn't worth $1. I want $50 for it. And it's like, why? You're not going to get $50 for it. It's like, I paid $100 back. I want to get my $100 back.
I mean, I'm sure there has to. I mean, there has to be other Lemlin collectors in the world. There's not a billion of us by any means. It's not like Gretzky collectors. You know, if they
You're telling me you guys don't have a club? You don't have like a secret handshake and a Dakota ring? What the hell are you doing over there?
I don't know.
But
I'm sure there's some people up in Calgary, maybe some people around here that, you know, collect stuff of his, but I'm sorry, it's not worth it. There's a beautiful card of his. I think it's from Panini on eBay right now. A guy wants $140, and it's like, no, I'm not. I don't care. I love it. It's gorgeous, but I'm not giving you $140 for that. No.
Wow.
No, I got a box full of them here. I can walk to the guy's house if I wanted to. I got 8x10s that I don't even know what to do with. Pucks signed. I got, you know, I got, it's ridiculous. I got a game you stick on the wall. I got, you know, jersey signed on the wall. I'm not giving you $140 for that.
Well, not with that attitude.
No, yeah, exactly. No. It's just not worth it.
Stu says $100 packs or entertainment costs. Basically, they can be now, especially. It'll be a video that I'll work on for the other channel, because I always talk about the wrestling cards that I collect and everything.
Yes.
But the problem is that right now we'll see how long it takes Upper Deck to actually release the damn things. But they've got some products that are coming out, and one of them is a very high end product. It's the Black Diamond, and the Black Diamond hockey is a pretty high end product. And they're going to try to make it high end in this one. Right now, the pre-order, I think, in Canada is $400. And I'm sitting there like, no. Like, no? Good luck. Because what's going to happen is, so the problem is if you start off the price too high and there isn't enough demand, who's going to open the boxes? And if nobody opens the boxes, how do we get the singles? We can't get even if you want to buy the singles, I need someone to open the boxes to extract the singles so that then I can purchase them. It's a chicken or the egg situation. I need someone to bite the bullet, take the hit, so that then I can be like, yeah, I'll take that one.
Leaf shouldn't be that expensive. It's just, I don't care. They just shouldn't be.
I'd agree with that. Jeff says Medano was signing at the Detroit Sports Spectacular last weekend. Nice. Couldn't have been nicer and have a great auto. Excellent. Gave a great auto. Good. He's been good with that in the past. So hopefully, fortunately. Now, catch-22, right? Medano's still young enough that he can still sign potentially for years. So it's a lot of these current guys, even Medano has been retired for years now, but these guys sign for a long time. They can have a long signing career, sign a lot of stuff. Which is kind of like, look, as a collector, with these two editions that I just showed, I have 330 certified autographs from Medano. Individual, unique, certified autographs, separate, different years, different brands, all kinds, sticker, on card, all kinds of stuff. 330 unique. I remember when I got to 100 and I was like, man, that's a lot of autos. Yeah. And then 150 and then 200 and then 250 and then 300. And now we're marching to 350 and 400. Every year there's more. That trilogy card that I showed you is brand new. That is from 23-24 trilogy. This is under the Legends rotation. Medano's in it constantly. So that's a brand new product that somebody would have pulled in a pack.
You're going to be collecting him for the rest of your life because, I mean, the guy's a cup, multiple cup winner, right? Did you just get one?
And they won one. They got to two and they won one.
Okay. I thought he won one in Detroit, but my memory isn't that good when it comes.
He only played the 1 year in Detroit, and he barely got to play. They didn't advance anyway.
All right. So he's a cup winner. He's a Hall of Famer, and he retired as the all-time leading point getter for Americans.
And goal score.
Points, goals, yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
I mean the guy's gonna be in checklists and for cards and stuff for another, until he dies.
Yeah. Because anytime they need to, if they got a 90s theme set, he fits. If they want to do like franchise icons and they reference Dallas, he's there.
Yep.
If they want to talk about, American born players, he's there. You got lots of options that you can do. They want to do something with the Stanley Cup, players that won the Stanley Cup. There you go. Players that made all-star games and stuff. You can do that too. Players that are Hall of Famers. You can do that as well. You got tons of stuff. You got tons of options. So the back catalog is huge, and they keep producing more stuff. And again, you've also got Leaf, who bought a bunch of stickers, so they've got lots of excuses to be like, here you go, gonna slap that one on there. So I can guarantee Leaf will be there with some more ones going forward in the future.
Next time I talk to Reggie, I'm going to say, please do not work with Leaf anymore. You're killing me.
I told you, what you're going to find is Reggie's like, man, I love those cards. That's my favorite photo. I told him never use another photo of me ever again. That's the only photo that matters. Just that photo. Just that pose. Forever. I actually think Eric, I look, if we can be honest, I actually think they're fucking with you. I know for a fact Leaf can do different. Look, they've had some cards where they've used this photo. They've used other uniforms and other photos from it. I don't think they can go find other photos. They've done it. They just refuse. They're like, hey, Eric is going to collect this. Oh man, fuck that guy. Use the same photo as last time.
I don't, I would love to see him in a Bruins uniform, but I don't want to see, if all they have is Calgary uniforms to cut up, for example, I don't want to see him in a Bruins uniform with a red patch, or something, red jersey swatch. So fine, just give me a different pose. Every card I showed, it's the same pose. How many cards did I show? 40? I don't know. They're all the same pose.
But what if Reggie just stood really still every time he took a photo? Like he has only one pose. He wanted to get his best side, and that's his pose. What do you want, man?
I think it's this one.
Could be. I don't know. Is that his pose?
I think you're right. That's it. That's him and Gretzky.
That's all he cares about.
Now he's got to get Wayne to sign this.
Yeah, the only pose that matters, man. I'm telling you. Zachary says, I got PC players, but God, I'm not like you weirdos. I have to own every card on my PC. But the sad part, Zach, is I don't have to own every card, but I do like having a horde. Medano's the only one that I'll do that with, though. All the other ones, I'm a lot more selective, but the Medano one's been going on for 30 years, basically. So I'm like, whatever. But I'm never gonna have. I'm never gonna have all of them. It's not possible. One of one's guarantee you can't. It's done. Yeah, like that was done decades ago now.
I don't collect Bobby Orr cards, after playing day. If something's just given to me, or it's $1 in a dollar box maybe or something, but I mean, there's so many Bobby Orr. Not talking about the autos, right? I'm talking just cards that they throw in Upper Deck. Sets every year. I don't go chasing that stuff. I have no interest in it. So, but with the Lemlin stuff, it's like the Pokemans. I got to collect them all.
Ooh, invoke the Pokemans. Man, it's rough. Tough times. It's tough. Now you're making me think, though, and this will be kind of my last thought, and we'll wind down on this. Now I'm kind of wondering. I like I said, I want to figure out something with the. I want to figure out something with the Hobby Palooza is going to be a little different. Maybe I'll invite a couple player collectors and we'll have that discussion. Maybe it'll be a little player collector talk because I can have fun with that one. Obviously, it's right in my wheelhouse, so maybe we can have some fun with that. Who knows? Maybe I can get the Hockey Oracle on. We'll see. Maybe I'll extend the invite. That might be kind of fun for a change of pace. Amy says, Eric, don't go chasing waterfalls because you don't want no scrubs.
You don't want no scrubs.
Man, getting all the references now tonight. Love it.
Jason, unfortunately. My life sucks.
We all agree on that.
You know,
all agree on that.
Stuff just, I swear, it's all the same damn picture.
Have a good night, Zach. All right, folks, I think we'll wind her down on that. So as I said, last word on that, remember, I'll include a link in the description for the replay, folks. For the replay, folks, I'll include a link in the description. Hobby Palooza thing will be a week Saturday. 10 p.m. Eastern will be our time, but they'll be doing lives all through the day. Basically, I don't know what time they start. I know they start in the morning, but I'm not sure exactly what time they start. But yeah, by the time we'll get on there, and then we'll run it for a while. Who knows? We'll see. Like I said, we may just get Eric to read 100 Years of Solitude to you. If I can swing to get a couple folks on for a little bit of a theme show, maybe we'll have some fun with that. In the meantime, if you got any comments or anything, feel free to leave them in there, and don't forget to hit the like button so I charge Eric because it's 5x. Charge him maximum. Make him pay. If we charge him enough, he won't be able to afford any more lemon M&Ms, and it will save him from himself. I
accept.
Done. All right, folks. Still some time left on Friday. Enjoy. East Coast, West Coast. Y'all got some time on Friday, so enjoy. We'll catch you in the next one. Have yourselves a good night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thanks, guys.